Plus, we want to introduce you too before you start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me when
Okay,
you're
what
ready.
I will do is I'm going to share my whole screen. I should be able to switch over to my. See, can you folks see it now?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, beautiful.
Yep.
Okay, well, then we'll start since you're ready to go. So
Absolutely.
welcome to our December 11th Apple Cider meeting. We're going to introduce Justin McCabe. He's from Lifespan, and he's going to give us a talk on scam frauds and ID theft. So that's what his presentation is on. And at the end, you can ask him questions, right, Justin?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I guess you can take it away when you're ready.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. My name
Hi.
is Justin McCabe. I work at Lifespan in the Scams and Frauds Department. If you don't know what Lifespan is, we're a non-for-profit agency. We have 30 different services solely for older adults, those that are 60 and over and those that are disabled. We do everything from navigating the Medicare and Medicaid field to elder abuse. I work in the Upstate Elder Abuse Center at Lifespan. So I work solely with scammers that you don't know. The tech support scammers, the scammers that call you on the phone, the robocalls. My job is two parts. One, I do presentations throughout New York State. And then the second part of my job is I do one-on-one case management with victims of scams. So if you're a victim of a scam, you can call me. Our cases usually last 3 to 6 months. I'll walk you through every step to lock down your identity, get the scammers to stop calling you. Currently through the Office of Victim Services through New York State, I can get you possibly up to $2,500 back if you're a victim of a scam. So if you know someone that's a victim of a scam or family member, please have them give us a call. All our services are completely free. I'll give you a quick 2-second background on myself. So prior to Lifespan, I was a police officer. I was also a criminal investigator in New York State and did most of my work with frauds and forgeries. I'm going to give the presentation, and then at the end, I'll open it up for questions. I'm also going to follow this up.
Hang on a second.
I'll send Ray all the information I'm talking about today. I'm going to send all the handouts, everything, so you'll have a digital copy of it. Okay, so a couple quick numbers here. So in 2023, top 10 frauds reported. There was 186,541. Total of $525 million lost in upstate New York. Now that is Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo. And then the average person lost $500. I want to preface this with saying the victims I work with, on average, this 500 number is way lower than what I see. On average, I would say on the low end, it's 15,000. On the high end, I have one guy who's lost $2 million. Your romance scams are almost all well over $100,000. These are massive amounts of money lost to these scammers. Okay, so this is the federal numbers. So this is the whole United States. ID theft scams top the list. Total losses, $10 billion. That's up from $8.8 billion in 2022, and then I believe it was $7.6 billion in 2021.
Test.
And then the top methods of payment are bank transfers and cryptocurrency. Towards the end of the presentation, I'll explain why that's important to know. Here's an interesting one. So if you're under the age of 70, on average, you will lose $2,500 per successful scam attempt. When you go over the age of 70, it's $10,000 per successful scam attempt. And again, these numbers are low compared to what I regularly see. Top 5 New York State frauds reported: online shopping, vacation and travel, credit cards, diet product plans, bank and credit unions.
Justin?
A lot of people ask me what vacation and travel scams are. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say you're going to rent a house on Canandaigua Lake for a week in the summer. You can take the whole family. So you find a location, you call an ad, it's perfect, exactly what you wanted. It's right on the water. You call the person, they say, okay, it's $1,000 deposit. They send you a lease agreement in the mail for the week, as well as rules and different regulations for the rental. You sign the paperwork, mail it in, send them the $1,000. Day of the vacation comes, whole family's in tow. You knock on the door. Person comes to the door. They have no idea who you are. They did not place their house for rent. These scammers will go to great lengths to prepare for a scam. It's not just willy-nilly where they're just randomly calling people. They're usually planning it out a lot ahead of time. And most of these scammers they're organized crime groups. So it's never just one person working on the scam. It's 5, 10 people working on a scam and setting it up. So why do scams work? Scammers need a hook. So the hooks they use are love or goodwill. These are your romance scams or charity scams. Promises of money. This is your lottery scams. We're going to call you up and say you've won some sort of prize, a large amount of money.
Justin, hang on a second.
Yeah, sure.
Do you see that little stop sharing button and the hide button next to it at the bottom of your screen?
I do.
Hit that hide.
In the way?
Yeah, well, hit the hide button and we'll get that out of the way.
Hide.
There you go. I think.
Okay, so and then fear and desperation. This is the type of scam card. It's got drugs and guns in it, and it's registered in your name, and we're going to come arrest you. Or maybe I'm with the FBI, and there's some federal investigation, and you scary ones. Okay, so phishing. I'm sure everyone has heard the term. If you haven't, phishing is like casting a big net. Think of fishing with a net. They'll send out millions of text messages and email. It could be it's usually from companies with a large customer base. So Walmart, Amazon. They find a regular, like if they're going to Amazon, they'll get an Amazon email. They'll copy it exactly, and they'll edit what it says. And so there's things like they'll say, hey, there's a problem with your passcode. Or we noticed some fraudulent activity. We need you to call us. I was an $800 purchase with Amazon. It went through successfully. Calls with questions. Then gave the phone number. Well, she almost had a heart attack because she did not buy anything from Amazon for $800. So the first thing she did was she picked up that phone and she called the number and she was going to give them a piece of her mind. And this was identity theft and this was fraud and she wanted something done about it. Well, at that point, the scammer had done all he wanted. He just wanted her to believe she was calling Amazon. And so one of the things we tell people quite often is never click links in emails or text messages and never call phone numbers. This is an important one. Never call the phone numbers that are in emails or text messages. Another thing you want to be really cautious of doing is Googling numbers. Like if you go on, you just Google Amazon's phone number. These scammers will pay to actually get their phone number at the top of the list for the numbers to call. So it's you have to be very cautious. I'm going to give you a couple examples here. So this is a mail delivery phishing scam. And as you can see, it purports to be from FedEx. Basically what it's saying is, hey, this is FedEx. We tried making a delivery. We couldn't. Click here to go to delivery manager. Now, when you click that delivery manager, you go to a website that will look just like FedEx. They usually copy them exactly. Anything you type in that box that pops up, because remember, it's going to ask for your name, your social, your date of birth. Anything you type in there will go to what's called a suckers list. A suckers list is a big spreadsheet. And if you see these, say name, date of birth, social security number, address, anything you type in there goes to these. And then the scammer will just go down the list and he will just apply for credit in that person's name, apply for credit cards, lines of credit, you name it. So if we follow that rule of not clicking links in emails or text messages, we're safe. Next one. This is just a text message version, and I'll read it to you. Hello, Olivia. Your FedEx package code with tracking code GB6412GH83 is waiting for you to set delivery preferences. Same thing here. You click that link, you go to the scammer's webpage, and it's going to try and get information out of you. One other thing I just want to mention to be really cautious about, in general, the majority of the time, companies will not text message you for communication methods. Usually if you get text messages, like for instance, with FedEx or any of your big shipping carriers. In order to get text messages, you have to go to their site, sign up for an account, and select the SMS text message notification in order for them to actually send you notifications. But it will never be something like this. It's going to be things like your package was shipped, your package was delayed, your package is on its way. They won't ask you to do anything. But all these phishing messages, they're trying to make you take an action of some type. So this is another one from Amazon. I'll read it to you. Hello, Mr. So-and-so. Your Amazon account was deactivated due to recent suspicious activity. For security reasons, it's necessary to enter your account information. If you do not enter your account information within 14 days, you're drawn from your account. To verify your account, please click here. Again, you click there, you go to the scammer's website. What would I tell you to do if you got this? Is go to Amazon, Google or Amazon.com and try logging into your account. Most big companies will have a messaging platform, a little envelope at the top. And if they want to communicate with you, that's how they're going to communicate to you. They're not going to send you these messages trying to get you to log into your account. And in this instance, another way they'll do it, if they're not asking, with Amazon here, they want you to type in your username and passcode. And by typing in your username and passcode, you've now given the scammer your username and passcode. One of the other things you can do, Amazon's a little bit more difficult, but most of your big companies, best thing you can do is call them. Get a secure way to a secure phone number for them, one that you've researched and you know is legitimate, and call them and say, hey, can you tell me if you sent me this message? I just did this the other day with Chase Bank, and Chase can pull right up, okay, here's the emails we've sent you in the last week. And if it's not that one, then you can tell it's. Okay, so 6 tendencies of human nature we all tend to comply with: authority figures. This is why they're coming at you, and they're the IRS, or they're the Social Security Administration, or they're some type of authority figure. People we like, people who have already done something to help us, when we've made a verbal promise or commitment to do so, when the behavior seems to be supported by our peers, and when the object being sought is in short supply, and that is money, folks. That's why they're coming at you saying you want a lottery or a car or a vacation. I don't know about the grandparent call. If you don't know what the grandparent scam is, this is how it goes. You're going to get a call. It's late at night or early in the morning before you've had your coffee. And let's say your grandson's name is Michael. It'll be, Grandma, this is Mikey. Grandma got in a bad car accident, Grandma. Grandma was arrested. I'm so scared. I'm here with the officer. Can you talk to him? Hand the phone over to the next scammer, because remember, they work in concert with each other. Next guy will get on the phone. Hi, this is Officer Smith with RPD. We arrested your grandson, Michael, for DWI. He's going to go to county lockup tonight. Don't know how well he's going to fare. He's pretty intoxicated. And what we saw locally was a third person. And the third person was the bailiff. And what the officer would say is, Judge set bail at $15,000. You could come, you could get him out right now, but we got to get that money quickly. So the third person would come as a bailiff, dressed as a bailiff, and come to your house. And I talked to one of the victims on this, and they said they'd never seen $15,000 cash before. In actual currency. And sure enough, went right out the door. Well, these scammers get greedy. So you got 3 criminals. He calls back. He's the officer again. Bail went up. It's another $15,000. This time you can wire transfer the money. And if you don't know how to wire transfer money, the scammer knows exactly how. And he's going to walk you through every step to circumvent all the security measures of the bank and get the money to him. So what can you do if you get one of these? One of the things you can do is ask a question only your grandchild would know. What street do I live on? What's my dog's name? What's my husband's name? Usually the scammer doesn't know more than grandma or grandpa's name and the grandchild's name. And sometimes they don't even know the grandchild's name. They'll just call up and say grandma. And the person will go, is this you, Mikey? And then that's how they start the conversation. Another thing you can do is have a code word with your grandchild. You know, every time you call me, say the word banana when I pick up the phone. This way I always know I'm talking to you. Now, the grandparent scam's been around for a while, so what they've switched to now, grandparent scam's still out there, but what they're starting to do now is some of the AI scams and what's called virtual kidnapping. And I'm going to give you an example of an AI scam. You know, there's two primary ways when you hear in the news AI scams. One is usually the two main ways are voice cloning and deepfakes. A deepfake is similar to voice cloning. Voice cloning is basically this. I'm gonna play you some voice cloning. Now, I have never said a word of this. I'm hoping you guys can hear this. Speak up if you can hear it, though. Looks like we're having technical difficulties on this one. Well,
You may have to turn your computer speaker.
I'll go in. I'll explain to you how it works. So with voice cloning, this is what they do. This is just a sample. Yeah, it's the videos. It looks like it's not wanting to play here, but I don't want to hold you guys up. I can explain it. So this is how it goes. Voice cloning is this. I get a small audio clip of your voice, and it can be 10 to 15 seconds or longer. I upload that to one of 100 different voice cloning websites for free. And it has a text message box. Anything I type in that text voice will say. Here's an example. One of the AA scams. I call your daughter's phone up. Try and get her voicemail purposely. When I get her voicemail, I record the audio clip of her voicemail. And then I call you up as the scammer to her, and I play that audio clip. Now you're actually hearing your daughter's true voice, same tone, same pitch as your daughter. So this is basically the clip that I was going to play you is a voice cloning I did. What I basically did was I went and recorded my voicemail, and I went in and typed a scammer script just so you could see what it sounds like. The deepfake is a similar version to voice cloning, only deepfakes are video. So imagine right now you could record me giving this presentation, and you'd run it through a deepfake, mimic my facial movements exactly, so you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And you can just imagine what they can do with that. One of the things you can do to see an example of a deepfake, just go to YouTube, type in Tom Cruise deepfake. It's a well-known person. We all know who Tom Cruise is. And you'll see several different deepfakes of him that are not actually him, but his voice, his face on another person's body. You can imagine what they could do with that. I'll give you an example of a deepfake scam.
Justin, we lost your video and the presentation.
It's been cutting in and out the whole time for me. Was it just me or was it everybody?
It's been
That's very
cutting in and
strange.
out.
I didn't
for
touch.
us. Yeah.
I didn't touch anything.
Well,
All right, let me try this again.
it's like your audio and video pauses for a second or two and then picks up where it left off.
Okay, let me just see if you can. Can you see that screen now?
Yep.
All right, feel free to interrupt if it's pausing. I'm not quite sure what would be causing that. So you can go type in YouTube Tom Cruise deepfake, and you'll see an example of this. One of the big recent ones was basically what they did was because deepfakes are a little bit higher end technically wise, they're usually only used for big business scams right now. But with the way AI is developing, give it a year, and AI is doubling or more every year. I'm sure we'll see it on more of an individual level. But one of the ones they did was they had a CEO or a CFO, the chief financial officer, calls one of his underlings, his head of accounting, says on a Zoom call and says, "Okay, we got this new client. We're in a crisis here. We need to wire them $30 million. It's a new account. I'll follow up with an email with everything, but this needs to get out." So the guy, he thinks he's sitting there watching his boss tell him what to do. Can't tell any difference, and sure enough, he wires out $30 million. The whole thing was fake. The CFO had no idea it had been done. It was not him on the Zoom message, but you can just imagine where they can go with that. And I think over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll see a big increase in more AI scams. One of the other things they're doing, I don't know if anybody's had any experience with the large language models like ChatGPT. One of the key telltale signs to scammers was always grammar. Reason being is large majority of the scammers, about 97%, are outside of the country, and most of them, their first language is not English. So when they would write these scammer scripts or emails or fake letters, there would be a massive amount of grammar errors. So you could pick right up on it. Now what they're doing is they're running it through the AI and saying, here, proofread it, make sure it sounds like it's an English speaker. And unfortunately, the AI does it. Okay, so romance scams. Romance scams lead the loss in the United States. Half of all scams are romance scams, and this is where people lose the most amount of money. Many times they target you. Often it starts through social media. And I'll give you an example. I had a woman, she lost $162,000 to this. The woman she was born in Vietnam. She met her husband during the war when she was 18. She came over here, spent here 50 years. She's got a family, everything else. Well, she's very passionate about refugee children because she herself was a refugee. So if you go to her Facebook, which is completely public, everything you see on there is GoFundMes, fundraisers, stories about refugee children. So the scammers saw this, and because everything was public, they could see it all. What they did was they did a little research, then they reached out to her, pretended to be a doctor running a refugee organization in Vietnam. It helped because they targeted her specifically because she spoke Vietnamese, because they spoke Vietnamese as well. And then slowly what happens is the scammers will try and start a conversation with you. They just want to talk to you as often as they can. The hook here is they build trust and then they exploit that trust. So they talk to her for about a month, and then slowly but surely, what we see is they'll have some windfall coming to them of some type. So again, give you an example. Person's talking to you, started up a conversation, it becomes like a friend, nonstop communication, literally 5-10 times a day they're messaging back and forth, everything, they want to know everything about your life, you name it. And so about a month and a half in, or they'll message you and say, my mom just died. I'm so distraught. She left me $500,000. I don't know what to do. I spoke with the attorneys. They said it's going to cost $2,000 to get it out of probate. I don't know what to do. I don't have $2,000. Wait a minute. You have $2,000. What if, hear me out, what if you paid the lawyer directly the $2,000, and then when the money comes in, I'll give you $4,000 or $6,000 to give you your money back. You'll double or triple your money. So this is how it starts. The person then thinks, okay, they're going to get their money back. They're probably starting to have feelings for this person, or they just feel a close bond with them. So what the scammer will do is he'll get another person in the group, the criminal group, to pretend to be a lawyer. And the lawyer will call the victim. We'll say, okay, it's a $2,000 retainer, extra $500 for administration fees. The fake lawyer will send a contract in the mail that you need to sign, a legal contract to sign up for the lawyer's office. You send it out, so she pays the $2,500. Well, a couple weeks go by, get another call from the lawyer. There's a big problem. It's another $2,000. A couple weeks later, another problem, another $5,000. Eventually, the victim loses so much money The lie they're being told has to be real. Otherwise, they've lost their entire life savings. And many times they'll also start and say things like this. This is from a text message scam. This was about a month and a half in. I feel funny admitting this, but I'm in love with you. I want to meet you in person. I just don't have the money to visit you. But I can't wait to see you face to face. I just wish I could afford to come to you. Do you see how here they're implying they need money, but they're not straight out asking for it? This is similar to the mother who died. They're not going to just like straight ask you for money. It's always going to be implied that they need money. Or it'll be something where you've got to give money, but the money's coming back to you. Maybe they have a business venture. You name it, they'll come up with a different scenario. So what can you do to prevent these? One of the big things you can do is if you use social media is great to have. It's a great way to communicate with friends and family. But if you're going to use it, lock it down. Set things from public to private. If I'm a scammer, the first thing I'm going to do is Google your name. If your name goes right to your Facebook profile, which is if you have it set to public, I can now scroll down and there's where you live, there's where you've worked, there's your sister's name, daughter's name, cousin's name, here's pictures of everybody, there's your email address, there's your date of birth. So you want to go in, and if you don't know how to do this, I'm going to follow up with my phone number and a ton of handouts with all this information. You can call me. I can help you lock it down over the phone. You want to do things like remove location services. You know, one of the things, especially with Facebook, a lot of times by default, these social media services will set things to be public. So your location service. So let's say I set up a Facebook account today. If the location services are on, when I go to Lifespan tomorrow, Lifespan's office tomorrow, it's going to say Justin checked in at Lifespan. Then when I go to Tops, Justin checked in at Tops. You can basically track where a person is. These companies don't need to see that information. So you want to shut that off. You want to see who you're allowing. Like I use Facebook, and it's usually just pictures of my daughter, but I pick who can see it and who can't. So my close friends and family get to see it. People that I don't know that well don't get to see it. These are all in the settings. You can set personal information to only me, only you can see it, like your date of birth, like your email address, like your phone number, like where you've worked, different information that you don't want to be publicly available. Another thing I want you to do is be very cautious when you get friend requests. Remember, these scammers, I don't know if you've ever seen on Facebook, it'll say somebody you might know, and it gives you an option to add the friend. Well, these scammers will go through that list and just hit add friend, add friend, add friend 1,000 times until someone takes the bait. So you want to look at your friend requests, and the first thing you do is you ask yourself, have I ever physically met this person? If the answer is no, delete it. You know, unless it's like maybe, okay, this is my sister's roommate in college. That's okay. But if you've never physically met them or someone you know has not physically met them, red flag. Go through your friends list. One of the things you can do, because remember, these scammers will sit a while and try and watch you as much as they can. Go through. If you don't know the person and you accepted the friend request, it's fine. Just delete them. Lock it out. Lock them out. And like I said, you can give me a call. All our services are free, so I can walk you through how to do it. Okay, so one thing to remember right off the bat with the imposter scams is government agencies will not call you on the phone. If you get a call from the IRS, you can't get a hold of the IRS when you try and get a hold of them. They're not calling you on the phone. Same thing with Social Security. Same thing with any of your big government agencies. Only one exception to this with Social Security. Let's say I go down tomorrow to Social Security and I meet with a caseworker. And the caseworker's name is Sarah. And Sarah says, Justin, I'm going to look at your paperwork. I know you got some questions. I don't know the answers. I'll call you tomorrow and let you know what I find out. So the next day, Sarah calls me. Okay, that's different than just randomly Social Security calling you on the phone. They're never going to call and they're never going to threaten you. You ever get one of these calls where the IRS has a warrant for your arrest? Hang up, it's a scam. Primary method of communication with the federal government is always going to be U.S. mail, USPS. If you do not get something in the mail, they are not trying to contact you. Another thing to remember, and I can say this as a former police officer, police are not going to call you and threaten you. If police want to arrest you, they come pick you up. They don't tell you they're coming. What I've seen recently quite a bit is people pretending to be out-of-state police officers, Officer Smith with Minneapolis PD or Detective Smith with, Austin PD. If you get one of these calls, I never want you to be afraid. If someone calls you on the phone and says they're law enforcement, never be afraid to hang up, write the person's number down if you want, call 911, have an officer come to the door. Say, officer, look, this person's saying that they're law enforcement. Can you verify who they are before I speak with them? I can guarantee a police officer is much rather going to come and take that request and tell you that it's a scammer rather than come and find out you lost a huge amount of money. Just a quick video. I'm hoping you can see it. If you can.
It can be kind of scary or overwhelming when you hear about charities that are scamming people. To promise services to veterans who need it and not deliver on that promise is reprehensible.
This is something that's going to affect the life of you and your family, and someone wants to play games for their own personal gain.
Scammers have little moral compass, and they're preying upon people's good hearts.
But don't let that keep you from giving. Don't let that scare you away from providing for others.
What makes a difference in your donation is that it gets to a legitimate charity. Ask questions about how your money's going to be used. Who exactly are you? Where are you located? And how much of my money is going to go directly to that program?
So that you know that you're giving money to someone that's really going to put your money into practice rather than their pocket.
Charity scams can come in a bunch of different sizes. If anyone calls and asks you to make a charitable donation by wire transfer, by prepaid card, stop. That's an immediate red flag. Go to ftc.gov/charity. There you'll find information on how to research to spot the good charities and how to identify the scammers.
We all have an opportunity to contribute to the greater community at large and make this world a better place.
Take your time, do the research, make sure your donation counts.
Okay, so if you ever are told or the phrase uttered is your social security number will be suspended unless you call us immediately, that is not a thing. It's completely made up. The social security card was given you either when you were born or when you became a permanent resident. They cannot take it away from you. That's just something scammers say to scare you. Okay, so tech support scams. These are insidious scams. Two main ways they work. And remember, folks, with all these scams, there's variations. There's hundreds of different variations. So I'm giving you the biggest known ones, and they all seem to follow certain patterns. So with the tech support scam, you're on any website you can think of. All of a sudden, blinking lights, virus found, virus found. Sometimes even the speakers will activate on certain computers. It's going to give you a phone number to call. It's going to basically purport that there's a virus on your computer and to call tech support. So you call that number. The person, about 99% of these scams come out of the country of India. The reason being is India has a huge population of IT professionals who are out of work. So the scammers, get these guys. So first thing the person's going to want is remote access to your computer. You don't know what remote access is? Basically, if you give the person in India remote access, it's like they're sitting there. They can totally control your computer. I've watched on investigations when they've done this. First thing they do is they turn the cameras on. So they're watching you. You don't know they're watching you, but they're looking at your camera. One of the things often they'll do is they're going to throw up a bunch of DOS prompts. They're going to try and make it look technical. They'll pull up the services menu to make you think that there's hackers in your machine. So first thing you're going to want is remote
which there technically is.
What's that? Oh, yeah. It's an excellent point. You're absolutely right. As soon as you're absolutely right. And so the scammers are going to, many times, what they're having you do is download software programs like TeamViewer, any of those, the free tech support apps. That's usually what they use. So many times they'll black out your screen. They'll say, we're going to do some stuff in the background, and they'll black out your screen. So your screen's going to go black. Really what they're doing in the background is they're downloading everything they can from your computer. Many times they'll try and trick you into logging into your bank account. When you log into your bank account, they'll usually have put a keylogger on the machine at that point. So anything you're typing in, they're seeing, including your username and password. What they will do, and this is a little hard to explain, this is one of the versions of them, but what they'll do is have you log into your bank account, and they'll edit the local HTML, basically the web page that you're physically seeing on the screen, not what's actually in the bank account. And they'll make it look like money's being moved around. And they'll say, oh, this is the hackers, we can stop them. They do this just to increase the illusion, make it more believable. One of the best ways that you can find out more about tech support scams, I can't impress this more. Go to YouTube and type in the name Jim Browning. He does, basically, he reverses the connection. So when they try and hack his machine, he hacks them back. So now he gets into their machine, and you will see from start to finish both sides of the scam. The scammer's computer, Jim's computer, and you'll hear the audio. So you can see exactly the different ways they do it. But the next thing you're going to want is payment. They're going to say, we remove the hackers. Payments usually between $250 and $450. But let's say you pay them. Because if you don't pay them, what they'll basically do is, depending on the version of your operating system, they'll syskey your computer. Basically, they'll make it so the computer's locked without a 4-digit code or 6-digit code that they won't give you unless you pay them. They'll threaten to kill you. They'll threaten tons of things at you. But let's say you get in a situation where they do this and you believe it. Like I had a victim. She got the tech support scam pop up. She gave remote access. She believed them. So she paid him $450. So she hung up the phone. She thought, okay, everything's good. Well, what they did was they never left her computer. So the remote access software was still on the machine, or their access to it. So she had a laptop in her living room. And what these scammers would do is for about 6 months, they watched everything she did. They watched who she talked to. They watched her emails. They watched her screen. But they also were watching inside her house because they kept turning the cameras on. So what they did was they found out where she banked. They knew she banked at Bank of America. So they devised a plan. About 6 months later, they call her up. And she lost over $175,000. And so they called her up. They were the FBI. Child pornography was found on her computer. And it's now part of a federal investigation. So she, almost had a heart attack. They said, okay, well, we've got a problem. You've accessed your Bank of America, because remember, they know where she banks. So they said, you've accessed your Bank of America account from this computer that's under federal investigation, and all your money is at risk of being seized. So they conferenced in Bank of America Fraud Department, which, again, just another group of scammers. And the Bank of America Fraud Department tells her, well, yeah, we have something that we can do in this situation. We need to secure it in a separate account due to the federal investigation. And so they had her go to the bank, remove $175,000 in cash from her bank account, and they sent 2 couriers to her door. They had her take the cash, separate it into 2 separate boxes, and had 2 couriers come to her door who were supposedly federal agents, and pick up the cash. And so she lost $175,000, not to mention the being completely traumatized after they found out everything they had been watching her for so long. So how can you stop this? We usually tell people, and I know some people might have different opinions on this, we usually say, never give remote access to someone you don't know. If it's your kid or someone you've got a computer guy, that's okay. But just randomly over the phone, never. I want you to think of giving remote access like you're giving the keys and the alarm code to your house to someone. But what can you do if you do give remote access? One of the things you can do is as soon as you realize you've given remote access, hold the power button down on the laptop till the lights go out. If it's a little older laptop, you can take the battery out. If it's a desktop, unplug it from the wall. Take it to a local repair shop or somewhere where you can see a person face to face. Tell them what happened. They can remove the remote access software from your machine. Now, what you want to be aware is you're going to need to change all your usernames and passcodes, but you can't do it from that computer until after you get the remote access software removed, because otherwise they can still be watching you. So you go to your sister's computer, you go to a family member, or go down to the local library, log into those accounts and change it. These are very insidious scams, like I said. But to get more information about them, please check out that YouTube. It's also under tech support scams, but Jim Browning will get you right to it. One of the, and in the beginning, I mentioned two ways these start, two main ways. The second one is I call you up on Justin McCabe from Microsoft or Justin McCabe from Apple, and we've noticed some hackers in your machine, or there's a security risk, your identity's at risk of being seized. And then I try and get you to give me remote access. Right off the bat, again, know that Microsoft and Apple won't call you on the phone. Outside of antivirus software, no one is individually, unless you got a computer guy doing it, no one is individually monitoring our computers for hackers. The antivirus software is on there. The problem is a lot of times what happens when you give the remote access and you got antivirus software, they go in and they shut it off. But again, if you get any messages from Microsoft or Apple, it's going to be usually sales messages. You probably will never even get a call, but if you do, it's going to be a sales call. Never will be a tech support where they're trying to, they're monitoring your computer individually. Okay, so lottery scams. Right off the bat, I want you to know contests originating outside the U.S. are illegal. So you cannot win the French lottery, the Canadian lottery, the Jamaican lottery, or any other lottery where you are not a permanent resident or citizen of that country. A lot of times these are mixed with a check scam, and I'll tell you how this goes. Say I call you up on Justin McCabe with Publishers Clearinghouse. You just won $10,000. Are you as excited as I am? I'm going to send you a check in the mail. 3-4 days later, you get a check in the mail. It's $15,000. I call you up. I go, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job. There was an error in the accounting department. Look, I talked to my supervisor. I talked to the team. I realized the check should have been for $10,000, but it's for $15,000. Keep an extra $500 for yourself. That means you just won $10,500. Just cash check, send us the $4,500 back. Well, you take that check and you go down to the bank, and sure enough, the bank will give you $15,000 in cash. Now remember, I'm going to be calling you. Did you send it out? Did you send it out? And I want you to overnight it. So you send that $4,500 out. What the bank doesn't always tell you is when you cash a check, the bank does not know if the check is legitimate or not until 6 to 10 days later. So what the bank is doing is they're using the money you have in your bank account as collateral against that check. So what I actually did in this scenario is I sent you a fake check. And you'll get a call about 5 to 6 days later after you've sent out the $4,500, and the bank will say check was fraudulent. And they will either freeze or take that money out of your account. So one of the things I want you to do, you get a check in the mail and it's not from somebody you've personally done business with or the government, I want you to shred it. If you don't own a shredder, they only cost about $30 now. Get yourself one and shred anything with your address and any check that comes in that you're not, that you weren't expecting from a company you don't know. Other scams we see, contractor and home improvement, utility scams, charity scams. There's a great website called CharityWatch.org. CharityWatch.org is a watchdog charity, and it's a great website because you can type in any charity you can think of, and it will tell you, is the charity legitimate? It'll tell you, does the charity have all its 501c3 paperwork filed correctly with the government, any sanctions against them? It'll also tell you how much of your money is going to the charity and how much is going to the overhead and administration costs. You'd be surprised, some pretty big known ones, 98% is going to the overhead and employee cost, and 2% is going to the actual charity. And that'll be on the handout that I send you. Government grants. I don't know if anybody here has ever worked with government grants in your career or not, but the government is not giving me or you any money anytime free without paperwork this thick. Anybody ever tells you you won a government grant, you do not win grants. You apply for grants and are approved for grants. So if you did not apply for a grant, you did not win a grant. And then military scams. Why do they target older adults? Ageism, less tech savvy, sometimes, not always. Older adults have more money. Most older adults have access to that pension. They have access to that 401k without penalties. dementia and cognitive changes. If you're suffering from any memory issues, be very careful who you tell that to. I have two gentlemen, both have, one has beginning stages of Alzheimer's, the other one has beginning stages of dementia. These scammers, they both mentioned it on the phone to the scammers, and the scammers locked into that. And they've each lost over 90,000. And I get to them and I explain that it's a scam and they understand it. But about a month goes by, and what those scammers do is they wait about 2 months and then they call them back and do a new scam. And then they wait 2 months and call back with a new scam. And unfortunately, because of the memory issues, the people aren't able to hold that information that I've given them. Think about what you share on social media. Like you said, feel free to call me. I can help you lock it down. Impact of older adults we see: loss of trust in others, loss of security, feelings of fear, shame, and guilt. We don't treat scam victims like we treat violent felony victims. Usually the scam victim is, how could you have been so stupid? I would never fall for that. I have 4 different published doctors. One's a cardiologist that have lost $200,000 or more each. They've all written 1 to 4 books. And so all walks of life can fall for these. These are organized crime groups. It's like if the mafia targeted you, same exact situation with these. Some are better than others. Some are more intricate than others. And unfortunately, they're very good at what they do. Okay, so robocalls. We all get these. I'm going to send you out a list of 3 different apps that you can put on your phone that are free, that are by the carriers themselves. In 2009, there was a law called the Stern-Shaken Law, and forced the carriers to do something about the massive amount of robocalls we get. Now, I want you to remember, there's no surefire way to stop all robocalls. These apps will help greatly. Like, I put it on a guy's phone last week. It blocked 28 calls in a week and a half. So they do work. It just won't stop all of them. One of the things you can do is screen those calls. If I get an automated message when I get a phone call, if it's automated, just hang up the phone. If a company wants to talk to you, they're going to leave you a voicemail. Caller ID. We all know what caller ID is. I want you to remember this. Caller ID should never be used as a security verification. With a button click, the scammers can make it say Joe Biden's calling you. That caller ID is very easily faked, both the phone number and the name on there, and sometimes the address. So be really cautious on that. You know, it's good if, you know, your sister's calling and be like, oh, it's my sister, okay. But just because it says it on it, just because it says the FBI is calling you, doesn't mean the FBI is calling you. It's very easy for them to fake. We spoke about phishing, old-fashioned mail. There's a do not mail list, like there's a do not call list. In my opinion, the do not mail list actually works. To do that, you can call me. I can put you on the do not mail list. I'll also send you a handout with the instructions and location. It's at directmail.com. Okay, so here's a key prevention technique. Scammers need to launder money, so they're going to always ask for one of 5 primary payment methods, and these are unique payment methods. So one is gift cards. No legitimate government agency or company will ever take a gift card as a method of payment. So the second anyone even whiffs to you that you need to purchase a gift card to pay for something, there's never a situation where it is not a scam. Also, have you do is go. You would think people couldn't rack up much in this. I probably have 30 or 50 people that have well over 20,000 in gift cards. They just have you scratch off the back. They'll usually redeem the gift cards once you give them that code, the second you give them that code, and drain them. Sometimes they'll sell the codes on the black market, on the deep web, and they'll get about, for every $100, they get about $75 cash for them. Cash in the mail, same thing. You wouldn't think people do this, but I have one gentleman, he put $29,000, well, $90,000 in 4 different boxes and shipped it to California. His entire life savings. Thank God he wrote the address wrong on one of them and it kicked back to him. Once you put cash in the mail, if like right now we put $1,000 cash in the mail and tomorrow we call the police, by the time the officer gets there, he takes the report. The report gets submitted to the department. The sergeant signs it. It gets fielded to an investigator. That package is already at its destination. And remember, when you insure a package, cash is not covered. So you can insure it till you're blue in the face, but if you put cash in there, they do not cover it. The other ones are wire transfers. These are interbank transfers from basically your bank account to another bank account. All these methods are methods where if you lose this money, the police aren't going to get it back from you. Nobody will get it back for you. So you want to be really cautious. Anybody asks you to wire transfer, that's a big red flag. Cash in the mail, like I said, gift cards, peer-to-peer payment methods. These are Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. I have dealt with these companies, and I will have a police report and everything that says that this is a fraud. And I call Venmo or I call Cash App or I call Zelle, and they say, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. This is completely a scam. About getting your money back, talk to your bank. And the bank will do the exact same thing. Oh yeah, this is it. Why don't you talk to Cash App, Venmo, or Zelle? And neither of them will give you your money back. So these apps are okay if you know the person. Like if I mow your lawn and you say, hey, Justin, how can I pay you? And you say, and I say, well, Venmo's fine. You can Cash App me or Zelle me. That's okay. But never to someone over the phone that you've never met. And the last one is Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. A lot of people don't even know what this is. You don't really need to know what it is. This is how it works. And there's a couple variations to this, but usually what they'll have you do is go to a Bitcoin ATM. And as we would know with an ATM, swipe your card, type the PIN in, take out cash. This is the opposite. You take $100 cash, you go to the machine, you type, it's touchscreen, so type in all your information. You put the cash into the machine, you type in the info the scammer tells you to type in, it spits out a receipt. You send a picture of that receipt to the scammer. He's now got that $100. It's turned to cryptocurrency and it's hidden. The other way they work is they'll have you go to an ATM, and a lot of the Liberty ATMs now you can buy cryptocurrency, so they'll have you purchase it right from your debit card, and then send them the info. The forms of ID theft we see: identity theft, medical, tax, employment, criminal ID theft. This is where they steal your driver's license. And I used to get a lot of times, you get people with warrants, they'll try and give you their brother's ID or somebody else's ID that looks like them, so you don't catch on to who they are. Here I've seen it where they'll steal IDs and they'll go accept packages, which a lot of times have scam funds in them. How do the criminals get your information? Scam, social media, sucker lists, like I mentioned. Sometimes they just get it from you if they call you up. Data breaches is a big one. You get any of the data breach letters in the mail, a couple things you can do. One, you can call me and I will verify if it's a legitimate data breach. And you want to follow the instructions in the letter. If it's a legitimate one, sign up for the credit monitoring. That can help. There's been about 9 in the last, 5 months that were pretty bad. One was 3.4 billion people, social security numbers, dates of birth, and addresses were stolen. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the presentation here. I just want to touch a bit on what you would do if you're a victim of one of these scams or identity theft. So if you call me, this is what I'm going to have you do. First, you're going to file a local police report. You're just going to have 911, have an officer come to the door. You're going to tell them what happened, get them to write you a police report. Then I'm going to have you go to identitytheft.gov. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is the law enforcement agency in charge of scams. So you're going to fill out what's called an identity theft affidavit. So the local police report, we're reporting to the local government. The FTC, we're reporting to the federal government. It's a little wizard. It's very easy to do. I can walk you through how to do it, but you really don't need me because it'll just say who they say they were, how did you pay them, what were the bank accounts they gave you. Then we're going to we're going to make a bunch of copies and we're going to send them to everybody you have a financial relationship with. Request new PINs and account numbers. Now there's 2 things you can do with your credit report, and you can get up to 6 free credit reports a week now. You can do that by going to annualcreditreport.com. It's always good to check your credit reports as often as you can. Signs of identity theft will appear on your credit report. That's really the first telltale sign. So with your credit report, remember, no one's going to give you or the scammer using your name debt if they can't get a hold of your credit report. So this is where we intercede. You can put a fraud alert on. Fraud alert's good for a year. Basically what this does is you give the credit bureaus, you only got to call one of them, your phone number. And if tomorrow if I steal your information and you put a fraud alert on, I steal your info and I go apply for a Visa credit card, Visa's going to try pulling your credit report. And when they pull your credit report, it will pop up in big letters on the top of it. This person is a victim of ID theft. Call this phone number to verify they put the application in. And so what they're supposed to do is call you on the phone and say, hey, did you just put an application in for visa.com? If the answer is no, then they'll mark it as identity theft. If it's yes, obviously they'll let it go through. But these scammers are good. So what I've seen them do is they'll steal your info. They'll then call the credit bureaus. They'll put a fraud alert on your credit, and they'll put their phone number. And then after that, they'll go apply for credit in your name. So if you call me up and we're pretty sure that your information's been compromised, I'll probably suggest a freeze. My credit's frozen all the time. This is like an on and off switch. So basically, when your credit's frozen, none of the credit bureaus will release your information. And if they won't release it, no one will give you credit in your name. So the scammer can try till he's blue in the face to apply for credit in your name, but no one will give it out because the credit bureaus won't release it. Now, this is an on and off switch, so you can turn it on and turn it off. Basically, what happens is you call all three. And again, I'm going to send you instructions on all this. You call all three credit bureaus. You request the freeze. They'll send PIN codes in the mail to your mailing address. Keep those PIN codes in your safe. If, let's say, we froze your credit today and next week you want to apply for a car loan, we just call the three credit bureaus up. We give them those little PIN codes. They'll unlock it. You go apply for your car loan. Next day comes, you turn them back on, and everything should go good, and you're still protected. If it's an internet crime, like those tech support crimes I mentioned, you can report it to the Department of Justice at ic3.gov. And again, no need to take notes on this because I'm going to send you it all as a follow-up. These are just the three numbers. This information's all on there. Be careful who you're emailing. Don't share your Medicare number out over the phone. That's a big one. The scammers will use that to commit Medicare fraud. So you give your Medicare number to your doctor's office or someone who's physically giving you care. Don't give it out over the phone. Purchase computer antivirus software. Be the referee. What do I mean by this? This is a key prevention technique. Be the referee. I mean, you make the call. If I call you up and I'm Justin McCabe with Chase Bank, and real quick before I speak to you, I just need to verify the last four of your social. You say, thank you, Justin. You hang up the phone. You pull out your credit card and you make the call. You call Chase. Whenever you're verifying personal information over the phone, always mandatory that you call them, never if they call you. If you call up RG and you want to talk to your account about your account, they'll ask for the last four of your social. That's okay. But if they call you, you don't give any information out over the phone. Always calling people back. This will knock out about 96 to 97% chance of you being a victim of a scam. HiCap is just a program Lifespan offers. They ask that we put this on there. Again, I'll be following up with this information, but it's a program where we, for free, sit down with you, help you fill out your Medicare paperwork. These are the three apps I mentioned. Again, I'm going to follow up with an email with all this information to you. And then you could put your name on the Do Not Call registry. Our government, in its grand wisdom, said, okay, make a list of all the people that don't want telemarketers to call them. Now, remember right off the bat, the people I'm talking today are criminals. Most of the scammers you've talked to, many times you've probably mistaken them for telemarketers. They don't care about this list. They're criminals. They don't care. They're not going to need to look at it. But what the government did when it made this Do Not Call registry is it put two loopholes in that law. It said they can collect a list of all the people who do not want telemarketers calling them, and they can sell that list to political organizations and charities who can call that number. Like if you got a lot of around the election, a lot of political text messages and emails or phone calls, it most likely was because your name was on the Do Not Call list, unfortunately. So I put it on there. You can do it. It will stop legitimate telemarketers. But in my experience, legitimate telemarketers, I just say I'm not interested and they never call again. This is my information here, my direct phone number. Again, I'll follow up. My email address, you can also email me. I will also follow up with all this information that was in the presentation, send it to Ray. He can send out. Let me just stop my sharing here. And we'll just open it up for any questions you might have. You got any questions?
I think
this was great. This
Yeah.
was great.
Well, thank you very much for having us. And remember, folks, feel free. Lifespan doesn't charge anything. So feel free to call me if you got questions, anything comes up to do with scams. I sit on a lot of the groups, like with the banks, about all the recent scams that are coming out. And I constantly am getting notified about every new scam. So if it's a new scam, I can usually tell you right off the bat, or if they're following patterns that scammers follow, I can give you a heads up right away. So never be afraid. If you get my voicemail, it just means I'm at a presentation, and I'll call you back as soon as I get back to my desk.
Oh, I have a girlfriend that I'm going to share the copy with when I receive it, because it's almost every day she's asking me if this is a legitimate thing, and every day I say no.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Share it with, share this information with anybody that you know. The more we get the information out there, the better. These scammers are only getting better. A lot of people don't even realize that someone will call and try and trick you on the phone, but they're out there, and I can probably guarantee at least every single one of us has at least one time either gotten a robocall or gotten a call from a scammer or somebody we thought was legitimate, and it turned out it was actually a scammer.
we've all been raised to be nice to people and answer their questions.
I was just about to say that. That's the other problem.
Yep.
We was raised to be, polite on the phone, polite with who you're talking to. And unfortunately, nowadays, you got to be really cautious, especially the phone. If you're going to get scammed, the highest likelihood is they're calling you on the phone. So that's the place to be the most guarded.
Everybody is a guest. Don't bother raising your hand. It doesn't help any. Just jump in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever come across the Police Benevolent Society giving you a call
Yes.
and asking you for money?
Absolutely. Right now, as of the last time I was updated on that, in the early 2000s and maybe like a little after 2010, the state troopers were the only ones that would call. So if you get a call, it's a scam if they're pretending to be the PBA. Because because of the massive amount of scams, they've stopped doing that. You might get something in the mail that would be legitimate, but I get those calls, that question constantly.
Yeah, there's so many scams around. The good guys have stopped calling because you can't trust it.
Right? Well, and you can't tell. Another thing to remember is when you do get those calls from the police, I know a lot of people don't realize this. Realize that you're giving to the police union to fight for contracts. It's not to the actual police department itself. Just wanted to give the heads up. A lot of people don't realize that.
Well, I have to say, I have my phone set to have the phone turned off so that anybody who leaves me a message, they can leave me a message, and pretty much 90% of the time it's just a scam thing, a robocall. And the only ever do I ever get somebody actually leaving me a message.
Yep. Yeah, there's a setting.
I'm the same exact way.
Yeah, it only rings if the person is in your address book.
Yes. The iPhone has that great setting. Another thing I just want to mention one quick thing. A lot of people are afraid with their doctor's office. Like, what if my doctor's office calls? When you go to your doctor's office, there's a form. It's their HIPAA form, they call it. And there's a little checkbox in there that says they can leave a voicemail if they call you. Make sure when you go to the doctor's office, you ask them for that form. And if they don't know what you're talking about, just say, I want to make sure you can leave me a voicemail if you call my number. Then this way, they won't tell you what's going on over the phone, but it's your doctor. You can call them right back.
Well, I take exception to that because I've had my doctor's office call and they don't have the name of the clinic comes up on the phone. It comes up with a different phone number and name. So I don't know it's the doctor's office until they leave me a message to say, oh, I'm calling to remind you. And it's like, but it didn't come up with their name, so I wasn't going to answer it, A
smart move. What you're doing is one of the smartest ways you can do it, because you pretty much are knocking out the chance you're not going to get scammed if you're doing it that way.
That's right. People may complain that they can't get a hold of me, but I check my phone often enough to say when they're calling that I can call you back, because that way I just don't have to listen to the phone ringing either, and just I just keep checking it and say, oh, look, here's the end of the day. I could have 15 calls, 20 calls, all of like numbers that look like they're real, places that you think are real. And it's like, no. So I avoid it altogether.
That's a smart move.
What about when you get a random call from, like, when you leave the hospital and a nurse calls you, or like your insurance or something, and you weren't expecting it? Are those legitimate?
Are those what was the last part of that?
Well, like, I've had calls like from a nurse when I've left the hospital, and I was skeptical, so I didn't talk to them. And then other people are like, well, didn't you get a call when you left the hospital? I'm like, oh, well, yeah, but I didn't trust it. Or like in your insurance company, like sometimes when you've been in the hospital, you get calls. Are they legitimate or not?
Sometimes they are. The problem becomes a lot. One of the issues I run into a lot of times is with situations like that where, okay, my doctor calls me, but it's going to take me 2 weeks to get back a hold of him because I'm playing phone tag with him. Yeah, sometimes they do call legitimately. But the problem is you can never trust that caller ID. So even if it says the hospital's calling, it could be just a scammer just spoofing it.
And there's something about context too. So if you were just at the doctor's office, the likelihood of getting a message from them is pretty high. But if they just call out of the blue, then it's more likely to be fake.
Absolutely.
Well, and they usually leave you a message too. So.
Exactly.
Well, the problem is, hi, this is Joe from the doctor's office. Call me at this number. So you got to know that's the wrong number. So.
Well, true. If you know that you're expecting a call or it's legit, that's different. If you know enough of the offices to know who's calling you, but otherwise, it's like I just call them back. It's like unless I know I expected a call, and then I'm like, okay, but
keep the card from your doctors and your auto mechanic and the banks, so you know what number to call.
Well, you just
that's what I do now.
Contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly your contacts. That's what when I go someplace, it's a little bit of a pain, but I'll just be like, what's your office phone number? What's your office phone number? What's your office phone number? And I just put it in my notes. And then this way I know I've heard it right from the cat's mouth.
That's right. So when it shows up, it says who it's from, and you know that that's legit because you put it in there. So it just takes time to do it sometimes, but it's worth not being scammed.
Yeah, especially with the amounts people lose, because it's just staggering, and it's heartbreaking too, because the amounts people lose. I mean, I can't even imagine myself having that amount of money, let alone lose it. And these scammers will bleed you dry.
Yeah. What's interesting is a lot of the stores have now put up signs on their gift card kiosks. This is a gift, not payments, and they're training their sales clerks about someone buying too many gift cards. We had one customer.
You're absolutely right.
We had one customer who got a phone call from Apple saying there's a problem on her computer. She had to go to Kmart and buy $200 in gift cards, and then go back into the store, get $200 more, but make sure you went to a different register, and then a different register, and then go to Home Depot and do the same thing. They ended up getting 20 grand out of her because they kept her on the phone, panicking her. And so it's, well, you got an ancient computer. It's not even worth that much. So hang up and call us, because I work at the computer store. So yeah, call us.
That's exactly what they do. It's been proven. They've done several different research papers where it's proven that what they're trying to do is raise your stress level.
Yep.
Because we as humans don't make good decisions when we're stressed. And to your point too, Ray, I have seen them. I had a woman the other day. She went to 38 different stores because of that, because the scammer knew that they were going to warn her. So he just had her drive. I mean, she was driving around. She was so stressed from just being on the phone for that long.
And it never occurs
but
that's
it's nice to see
wrong.
those warnings now.
Yeah.
I'm happy they're doing that.
Now, have you seen the movie The Beekeeper with Jason Statham?
I did.
Yep.
Yes, I did. Yep, I saw that.
We all needed Jason Statham to watch out for the scammers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that movie is exactly, that's what they were doing.
The first half hour is exactly all these real scams.
Yeah, and I can say that the Jim Browning, if you're going to check something out and you want to see from start to finish what a scam looks like, I mean, this guy's, it's better intelligence than I've seen in police departments. because it just shows everything. A lot of times he'll call their bank and try and warn them, or he'll try calling them after the fact, because he can also, when he gets into their machine, he's watching them call people and scam them. So and there's a good documentary he did on the actual, because he gets into their CCTV cameras, so you can actually watch a person on the phone, and hear them actually talking to the victim. Because they're like call centers. There's 20 people in a call center in cubicles.
Sometimes I'll mistakenly answer a robocall, and it'll give me the option after I hear the recording. They'll say something like, press 3 if you want to be on our do not call list. And I've always felt that was a placebo button. Either that, or they are going to get your information anyway, and you're just authorizing it to go through. What do you think?
You were absolutely right. One of the things I normally do mention, I didn't mention it this time, but the robocall system is a computer system. It wants to know it's a live line. Is someone on the other, because it's going through the list, 7231846, 7231847. Whether you press 1 or 2, like you said, the unsubscribe, you're telling them, I'm a person, keep calling me, and it will just propagate it to call you more and more. Best thing you can do is the second you get it, just hang up if you hear an automated message. If it's a robocall, it'll take a while, but just keep hanging up.
Well, along the same line, if you hang up, you are kind of affirmatively stating that it is a live line. And I felt the same about the voicemail. I just let the call run out till it hangs up, because I felt that if I do anything, it's acknowledging that it's live.
It's a lot, and that's true. I have seen it where, because the robocalls, it's usually an automated system. That's because when you press 1 to talk to someone, you go to one of those scammers in those cubicles. But that's not a bad. That's another good idea, is to just let it go through until it hangs up. Obviously, like you said, if the voicemail picks up, it's going to know. I'm sure that there's some method where they're also keeping track of when it is a person. Have we ever actually got a hold of a physical person where they've responded on that line? But the robocalls are just, unfortunately, through the roof. It's 1 billion every day in the world go out.
Well,
And unfortunately, our government's not really doing a lot to stop it. And I think that's Senator Toomey just recently locally pushed a bill to help put some more scrutiny. There was one, I saw one notice that there was one phone number, had 4 million complaints against it, and it took up to 4 million complaints before the company shut it down. But these guys they're using voice over IP lines, so they'll buy 300-400 numbers at once, and local numbers, because we're more likely to pick up a local number. So you talk to them on one, they can just switch it over to another phone number, trying to trick you into picking up.
I knew a guy that got the telephone company call can't be completed error tones and put that on his voicemail. So
I like that.
When the robocaller called him, they heard those tones and took him off the list. And when his real friends called him,
smart move.
Wait by that 3 seconds and okay.
That's awesome.
Well, also, by its going to voicemail, acknowledges that it is a real telephone.
Yeah.
And that's something I'd like to conceal. I don't want them to think that they can sell my telephone number somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's another concern, is just the problem is with stuff now, it is so easy to get addresses and phone numbers. It's just even to get their social security numbers is not that hard for these guys now.
And the MPD breach recently.
Exactly. That's the 3.4 billion.
All of your previous addresses, your phone numbers, your social security number, everything is now public knowledge. One thing they did find is that people who had already subscribed to like deleteme.com and the other services were not on that list. But you have to keep subscribing to these companies, otherwise you just get put right back on the junk
on
lists.
The list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone down a rabbit hole trying to, most of the programs with selling your data, you have to opt out. Well, when if you think about all the companies you've done any business with in the last 5 or 10 years. There's hundreds of thousands of them. And I went through, I did Delete Me, I did a couple different services. But like you said, as soon as you have some other interaction, it goes right back on. So you have to keep doing it and keep doing it. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So could you verify what I was just suggesting, that if it does go to voicemail, that it alerts the robocaller that it is a functioning line, which they can then put on a list of functioning lines to sell?
Yes, it technically could. You're right.
If the connection is made. So if you
Right.
don't get the air
The
tones.
connection is made.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it would depend on the system too, because they're not, they're different. They're using different systems depending on which group it is.
I use Verizon.
One of the things you can do is through the apps I'll send you, depending on if you have Verizon, it's Verizon Call Filter, I believe it's called. That can help send things directly to voicemail. So the connection's made to the voicemail system, but not necessarily that line. That might trick it.
And it almost doesn't matter about a live phone call list because they just try every possible phone number.
Exactly.
One after the other.
And they share lists. So you get called from one, still a likelihood, even if that one doesn't know, the next group, one's an IRS scammer, one's a Social Security, you're going to get the call from both of them.
It's the same thing that the charities use. You donate to one
You're
charity,
absolutely
and
right.
suddenly you get more requests from other charities. Even legitimate charities do it.
100% right. That's why I always tell people when you get those donate $1, whatever you do not, you can give $1, but just mail $1. Don't fill out that form, because as soon as you get that, the marketing company gets it, who handles 30 other charities, and you're going to get bombarded.
Oh, and if I've read an ad someplace on the internet, pretty quickly I will be getting a response to that article with an ad on Facebook. And I suppose the same technology could trigger somebody, that advertiser, to get my number in and call me or something.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's because Facebook puts little Facebook bugs on every single website so that you can post this cool thing to Facebook. So Facebook knows every single website you've been to. So
any way to disable that?
You have to use a content blocker like uBlock Origin to block those Facebook bugs. So people have been afraid of like the Amazon assistants and the Google assistants listening to their conversations. It's more insidious than that. You and your friend Joe are talking about cars, and so he's probably researched cars on his phone. His phone knows that he's close to your phone, so now the advertisers know you were together. You probably have the same interests, so now you're going to start seeing ads for those cars. No one had to listen to anything. It's just as you mentioned earlier, your location was on, and so your phones knew they were near each other.
And what was the name of that blocker again? usomething.blocker.com?
uBlock Origin is one of the best ones.
ublockorigin.com. Okay.
I will also follow up with, there's a quick, because we're a nonprofit, we do these for free. It's a quick evaluation. It's online. Just what you thought of the presentation. If you have a couple seconds and you wouldn't mind filling it out, we'd appreciate that.
Very good.
Well, thank you all for having me.
Well, Justin, it was very interesting. I'm very glad we had you on to go over everything, and know that we can give you a call if we have any problems.
Absolutely. Please feel free to call me.
But I have to say, Steve has educated us enough.
Yes, I can tell Steve knows what he's doing.
He knows his stuff. And
working at a computer store, you see a lot of this stuff firsthand.
Oh, I'm
it's just
sure.
so frustrating that people get panicked. So we sometimes say the more dire the message, the faker it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
Yep.
Well, very good.
Well, thank you all very much. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for giving us your time tonight.
Yep, thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Justin.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
So we're gonna take our break now?
Yes.
Yep, let's take well, it's 8:45. So let's take I don't know, 10-minute break. Does that sound good?
And the name of the person just now spoke?
What?
The name of the person who just now spoke?
His name is Justin McCabe, McCabe,
Thank you very much.
at Lifespan.
Yes.
We'll put his contact
All right.
information into an email when he sends me the packet he talked about.
Okay, and before we go on break, I'm just going to pass this down that we are having our CIDER annual Christmas party. It will be next Thursday at 6:30 at Shamrock Jack's, which is at 454 Culver Road in Irondequoit, and everybody is invited. Just let me know that you're coming so I can call the restaurant, because they do know that we're having about 10 people coming already, and just make sure. So no problem. All right.
What time is it, Shirley?
6:30.
Okay.
What if they don't make the call because they think it's a scam?
Yeah.
That's a big
And
problem
we're
running a business, is you have to answer unsolicited and unknown callers because they could be calling to buy something.
Yes, and we're going to be in a room called the library, so we already have a little special space there. And right in front of the place is a huge Christmas tree made of Jameson bottles, all lit up with green.
Oh, neat.
So you can go to their website and see a picture of it all. So, all right, we'll see you back in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Bob.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty fair.
That's
I
good.
was,
Hey, Charlie.
Pardon?
How you doing, Charlie?
Hi, Diego. I'm all right. How are you?
Good. I'm doing good.
Great.
Doing good.
I'm going to mute again.
Okay.
Take a bathroom.
Okay. Too much information. So what's new with you, Bob?
Oh, not much. I'm last month I had a head trauma. I fell and bang, and
Oh, no.
I had a, what they call it, a subdural hematoma.
Oh,
So
no.
it put me in the hospital for a day and so on. I was coming back, and right now the body's curing itself. So I think I'm doing okay. I feel better. And
Well, that's
so
good.
But anyway, it was an adventure there overnight in a hospital.
Oh, yeah. Where'd you go?
Strong.
Wow, okay.
How were they?
Good. I've always had, I'm a repeat customer. I had an aortic stent. I had 2 other bypasses on my legs, heart bypass, prostate surgery, you name it, I've had it. So I'm a repeat customer.
You're a
How-
frequent flyer.
Did
Yeah.
you have to wait long? Did you get in fast? Did they put you in a hallway or chairs, or do you?
Yeah, initially I was in a hallway for a couple hours. And then I got CT scans and MRIs, and then I wound up in an emergent or a critical care unit, and that was pretty traumatic because I would hear what was going on. The worst was an 18-year-old kid in the cubicle next to me, and it sounded like I was on Chicago Med. All the words they were using, and the ultimate word was time of death. And I think he came in from some kind of car or motorcycle accident.
So that was in the ER, or that was?
Well, yeah, ER, and then to the critical care unit. Then I went up to some other. I was in the critical care unit. Yeah, then I went up to some other room where I was there, but I argued to get out of there fairly quickly, and they obliged me.
Oh, wait.
They really didn't have anything. They talked about brain surgery, and that was rejected. The main thing is my body may cure itself. You know, the hematoma dissipates, and and that seems to be working. I seem to be better.
That's good. So is CCU the one that's a step down from ICU?
I don't know.
I was in that when they did a test, but that was like separate rooms. It wasn't anything where you heard anybody else. It was really nice, like nice modern rooms at Highland.
Yeah, I wound up in a double room for the last part of my stay. The other guy in the bed next to me was named Bob, so we're Bob and Bob. How you doing, Bob? And we both respond, yeah, I'm okay. And so on, but he got lucky. He fell down 13 steps. Had brain injury. He had a big scar across his forehead where they operated on him, but he was lucky because they wouldn't have done that other than this injury, and it turned out that they discovered brain tumor. So the fact that he'd had the injury probably saved his life, at least from the brain tumor. And so it goes.
Maybe that's why he fell.
Could be. I don't know why he fell. But he's from Canandaigua, and for several months, his wife drives in every day from Canandaigua. He's been in the hospital for an extended stay. I was going to mention a movie. Steve mentioned The Beekeeper, which I've heard about, but I don't really know the details.
Yeah, it was
of
good. It was good.
But
The Beekeeper.
there's a movie called Thelma. Maybe I'll wait until people come back. But basically, it's about like a 90-year-old woman who gets scammed, just like we've been talking about tonight. And she actually tracks down her scammers and gets her money back. So it's fantasy. But it was a feel-good movie. I recommend it.
What's it on?
I think it was on Netflix. Carol, do you remember? Yeah, Netflix. Called Thelma. And basically her scammer is like a lot of these scammers are big operations with call centers and everything. Turned out her scammer was this old guy that had an antique shop, and his grandson was guiding him through the ins and outs of scamming people. And somehow she tracked down where he was, and she goes over across town driving a scooter to get to his house. So it's fun, but it's kind of
Hokey?
unrealistic.
Hokey?
No, I give it a good rating. It's a feel-good movie, but in terms of actual scammers and
It's the
dealing
movies, right?
Yeah, it was on TV. We don't go to the theater very much anymore.
She just keeps that laser focus until
All the movies at the Little are okay. I liked A Real Pain. That's my favorite of the current ones, or the Golden Globe nominated ones.
What are you referring to?
A Real Pain. That's my favorite of the current movies. Just a nicely written and acted movie.
Real Pain?
A Real Pain. Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed it.
Pain, like
Pain,
C-A-N-E?
P-A-I-N, pain.
Yeah.
C-A-I-N. Never heard of it.
It's the time of year when all the Oscar movies are out. Conclave, what's their Conclave, and Honora, Amelia Perez. That was good, but that's fun. Wicked, they're all there now. Flow is starting. If you like really cute little animated movies, Flow is really cute. With little kitty cat as the lead character. It's so good.
Oh, it's a real pain, not Kane.
Right.
Yeah. P as in Peter.
Yeah.
But that's a good comedy drama. And Flow is a good animated one. And I haven't been to anything in so long because I've been sick. And I'm going to miss Maria because it ends tomorrow.
Who's Maria?
Callis. Maria
Yeah.
Callis. The movie at the Little Theater.
Oh, okay.
Did you say that the run is ending tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, nuts.
I know I put it off. I got caught up and I was ahead and they weren't having all the special events during Thanksgiving. So I'm like, I put it off and now it's ending and I'm too weak to go.
Maria Callas was on one of the Apple Think Different posters.
I've read such good things about that movie.
Didn't get nominated for any Golden Globes.
What's the title?
Maria.
As in, how do you solve a problem like?
Okay.
Angelina Jolie is Marina Callas. That's interesting.
Yep.
And apparently she put huge effort into giving an accurate portrayal, including taking singing lessons. And so electronically, the singing blended her voice with Maria Callas's own voice. So you would get a semblance of Maria Callas's voice, but much of it was Angelina Jolie. Which I've never heard of. It's always been straight dubbing, a total substitute of voice.
Yeah, what they can do with computers these days.
Yeah.
It's always interesting when you see those like real life people movies and what they use real footage for and what they use the narrative footage for. I was watching. What was I saw something, and they were going back and forth between black and white and color, and I'm like, usually when you do that, it's like real footage and not real footage, and then I'm like, but I was really confused. But I think they're both fake, like both narrative, and where's the real people? And then they showed the real people at the end, but they were going back and forth. It can be confusing.
Angelina Jolie is interesting in a couple of regards. First of all, her father, is John Voight, the famous actor. He's very good. But her uncle is a guy named Chip Taylor. And if you remember the song Wild Thing, Make My Heart Sing, it's her uncle who wrote that song.
There's all those one-hit wonders, and then you see them decades later and go, ah. I saw the Luther documentary.
Yeah.
I was never a Luther Vandross fan, but I like to watch music documentaries. But there was a lot of interesting things in there about his career and like Sesame Street and stuff. Because he was heavy, he always had to stand in the back. He was the best singer, but always had to be in the back.
Who's that?
Luther Vandross.
All right. Shirley's off the phone, so she should be coming back shortly. All right, Shirley says she's got to finish something first. So, should we do some Q&A? Anyone have any questions that we can answer?
Yes.
Where can I find $1 million?
In the
I've
bank.
been having some
That's where they keep the money.
difficulty with trying to download photographs. I used to be able to do that on my old iMac, but on the new one, I'll see a photograph on Facebook. Oh, I'd like to download it so I can use it later. And the cursor gets no response from the photograph.
The other end has prevented you from downloading it.
That is what happened.
Yep. You can take a screenshot. That's about all you can do, but it's going to be low res.
Because I've tried the same thing with when I'm want to get an image on the Google Images page. I used to do that, try to get an image there. I was able to download there, but again, it's across the board. They've blocked that.
It's up to whoever posted the image can decide if they want it downloadable. So normally just right-clicking on it and say download image is all you need, but the other end, whoever posted it, can choose to make it not downloadable.
That seems to be universally true on Facebook. Is that a Facebook policy?
No. I download
I take
Facebook
pictures
stuff all the
off
time.
Facebook all the time. I just drag them over. I have a file over to the left, and I just drag them over and drop them in the file.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. Drag and drop or right-click and save.
And then you can bring it up again, upload it again someplace.
Well, I can open the file, and everything I've put there is there. And it's getting pretty huge. I think I got,
Yeah, every time you see something neat and download it, you get so many of them. Because you never can find that again if you wanted to get it back, so you got to save it now.
Yes, so I see it on Facebook, and I click and drag it someplace. And what do I set up as the receiving page?
And set up a file, just folder.
You can drag it to the desktop, or you can drag it into a folder on the desktop.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I perhaps split the screen and put a Word page on there so I drag it into that?
If you want to put it into a Word document, yeah.
Well, I mean, because
not necessary.
Yeah, it's not necessary. You just
I've got two folders. I got one that says pics in November, and the other one says friends and family. So if it's friends and family, I drag it and drop it in that folder. If it's just some other pic that's not friends and family, like Calvin and Hobbes cartoon, for instance, I'll drag and drop it in the pics November.
I just don't know how to set up such a folder or such a file.
You go to the file menu and choose new folder.
Oh, okay.
Just like you made any folder.
There will be something that I will see visibly on the screen that I can drag it into before releasing the cursor.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just drag it onto the desktop and it will show up on the desktop.
Okay.
But then you can accumulate too many on the desktop.
Yep.
So that's why the folder is the preferred option. You drag it over and drop it into that folder.
Okay.
And I've got so many in that folder, what I probably will do, I'm overdue for making this change. I'll create a new folder and I'll call it Pics December, and I'll start dropping it in there. But I'll also take the Pics November and drop that whole folder into the new folder.
And then when I find absolutely the right place to upload it into whatever, then I click on the paperclip or whatever that I then click on desktop or the file and click open, and that will generate it, put it in place.
Yeah.
Well, you can attach it, yeah. But you have to be careful of that because you don't own the copyright to that image, so you're not allowed to make copies.
Well,
you
sure.
can send the Facebook link to someone if you want them to see that picture.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm sure Facebook in the past has published many copyrighted things illegally.
Yeah, their algorithms will try to stop it. We get hits on sound bites all the time for the music bumpers we play. Some music company tries to stop it, and there's no way that I can tell them we're a radio station. We are licensed by the agencies to use this music. Stop, flagging it.
Sure.
I have a quite comment and question about this process. So if I go to the Finder and then go to desktop and then add a new folder,
Yep.
then that folder will show up on my desktop, right?
Right.
And then if I split the screen, like Doug was saying earlier, then I can drag and drop an image into that folder.
Yep.
Yeah, we can deal with this on Saturday with green apples.
Okay, well, I don't have a car, so I'm not able to get there, and that's not Zoom, is it?
Zoom, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it is Zoom?
Yeah. Do I have, what's your name again?
Douglas Fisher.
Okay. As long as I got your name on my invite list for green apples.
Okay.
Let me just look here. Green apples.
Yeah, it's at 3 o'clock, right, Bob?
3 o'clock on Saturday. Yeah, I don't see it there, so I'll just add new contact.
Would you need my email or telephone number?
Yes.
Don't give it now because we're live on the internet.
Sure. Okay.
You could put it in person to person. You could put it in person to person in the chat.
Yeah.
Right.
If we could find the person though, because we're all guests on the list.
That's true. We are.
But although Bob puts his phone number on the website, so you can call him and give him your address directly.
I received the link for this session via the internet, so somebody has my email.
Yeah, you're on the CIDER mailing list.
What's your last name again, Doug?
Fisher, Fisher.
Yeah, you can get it from the membership list I send out, Bob.
Okay.
You can also control click on an image, and there's a save image as, and then pick the folder you want to move it into.
Oh. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Drag and drop is sometimes easier if you can see the folder you want to drop it into.
Okay, now question and comment part 2. Is there a way if I do a screen capture or what used to be grab? Is there a way that I can get Google to scan for that image? Tell me what it is.
Yes, that's Google's reverse image search.
Right.
Let's see, image.google.com, is it? Nope, I got to spell Google right.
The founders of Google did not spell Google right, and they were horrified to learn that.
They were making up a word similar to a Google, 10 to the 100th power. Yeah, images.google.com. And then there is a camera icon for you to upload an image, and it will try to do an image search. Oh, there's also a microphone. Oh, you can send a video, a voice, so to see if you can match something by voice. Actually, let me share my tab, and I can actually show that to you.
Well, here's my reason for this. When I'm wasting my life on line, and ads will come up, and they're 30 incredible gifts for Christmas or something like that, and there will be an image of a gizmo on the start of the ad. And if I click on that ad and go through all 30 or however many images they have, as a rule, that image they used as the teaser will never appear in that collection of images.
Yeah, it's clickbait.
So there's, I think I've had one occasion when it actually did. So the thing is, there's this one ad that keeps coming up, and it's one of those situations where it has a really cute looking gizmo, and I know I want it, although of course I don't know what the hell it is or what it does. But I would like to at least try to find out what the darn thing is.
Yeah, so on the images, Google Images page, you click the little camera, and then you can upload a file, or you can paste the link from a website.
Can you back up a moment so I can see where that camera icon was?
So
Okay.
Microphone, camera, and then so you can type a search for an image.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I upload a file. Let me see what's in my downloads folder. Here's an interesting image. Let's see what that is. So this is a Zoom background. It's a mech cockpit to put behind your Zoom screen so you can look like you're in a mech. And here it found a whole bunch of places where that image is being used.
What's a mech?
Mechanical fighting machine.
Okay.
Giant robot that you climb in and control from the inside.
Cool.
Someone actually built a full Gundam, which is a Japanese version.
Was that done as a virtual background?
Yep.
Is it possible we could do virtual backgrounds on this website?
Yes, but you're limited to the ones that are built into the system.
Oh.
What the opposite set of lawyers said, but anyway, I don't think it means that nobody else can use the word the. They just probably had to be able to keep it as part of their online name or something like that. I also, all right, I can't restrain myself again. If people enjoy this kind of trivia, although that's not where I saw this one, there is a stand-up comedian on YouTube called Chad the Bird, and he works in a comedy club in Chicago. He's a puppet, and but he does this really great cultural commentary stuff. That's it's not recommended if you can't stand a few F-bombs, but it's definitely worth it. Chad the Bird.
Wasn't there a dog that did the same kind of thing? Interviewed politicians.
Yeah, this is just a monologue. But...
Humans!
Okay, thank you. I will now.
We of the avian community have been avid partners with your kind on this earth, mostly because bread, but also because you got some sweet tunes and solid beer
my
special.
girlfriend has an iPhone
Without you, this
10s,
old earth would just be us and the fucking squirrels. And I don't know if you've ever hung out with a squirrel. It's a lot.
Chromebook.
It's jittery. It's nuts, man.
Plug in the cable.
Okay.
And it should see it as a camera to import the pictures into Google Photos. Or
But we
easier
have
than
been
that,
cool
install
with
Google
y'all
Photos
in all of this, though we
onto the
kind of
phone.
shouldn't be because y'all got grills
then-
and
and then
basty
you can
sauces.
sync to,
But we
uh,
have
to
managed to forge agreements, us and you. We have an understanding, and in
I mean,
turn
every
we
time
can
a
get
new
back to
photo is
understanding
added, it
you,
will
which I am fond of doing. Quid pro quo, because you're really interesting species.
Okay.
You do
so
interesting shit
install it
like axe
on the
throwing at
phone.
breweries, which should not work in theory, but it
during
does.
the setup process,
It's fun.
it'll ask if you want to
Darwin
sync with
wasn't
your
always
phone's,
right. Fucked up math in his time. Drown that oatmeal stout and hurl some cleavers. Let's fucking go.
All right.
We love the
That's
system.
great.
We
Thank
got you, you do you, we do
I'm
us,
her
so we
tech
can watch
support
you do
person.
shit. That's
So
interesting,
that will do
is
all
what
the
I'm saying. And
photos.
sure,
If you just
we
wanna
birds
do a
haul
couple
ass
of
at the
them,
slightest noise, fast movement, but that's just nature, man.
email
We're
it to
born
yourself.
this way. It doesn't
Or
mean we're
plug the,
always right
plug
to
the cable
flee.
into the
We're not
computer and import
paranoid.
them
We're
as
just
a
always
camera.
on alert. It's baked into our guts, mostly because the rest of you
okay.
want to bake our guts or fry them, depending on the occasion. Yeah, there's canaries in the coal mine, sure, but that's their fucking job, man.
And then import them.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah,
we
there's
do
like
us,
a
you do
Files
you,
app or
everybody
something
gets a seat.
on the
But when
Chromebook that
we
lets
get
you,
a feeling
look at
of vibe, a little
look at
twitchy
camera drive
suspicion
or
that you
flash
might
drive
be
to
leaning a
import
little
photos.
hard on your end of the table.
Okay.
Though we'd rather keep this grand evolutionary
thank you.
arrangement going, we got to say something.
Does
And that's
the
why I'm
Chromebook
here.
have,
Mostly because I lost the
much
coin
storage
toss. But
on it?
also because I
Generally,
feel like we
like
got
a-
something going on here. I can be honest
Yeah,
with you. Mutual
generally
shared
Chromebooks
respect.
don't
Can I
have much
really be
internal
myself,
storage
you know?
themselves. They do everything with the.
Are
Google Drive.
you really sure
Well, you can get them
you
with more
want to
storage.
bring
That's
back
one of the ways they're so cheap is they
cheese?
only may have 32 gigs or 64 gigs of internal storage.
Some of you may not be familiar, having never grown up in the suburbs of the Midwest, so
that's
let me
so
elaborate.
I missed it. So what's
For a
the
good
way
part of the
around
year, it
it?
gets really fucking cold, and around that time, there's no
It
real
uses
comfortable
your
way to
Google
eat
Cloud
in nature.
storage
So you
to store
humans
it.
retreat
okay.
to indoor activities like arcades,
And
movies, and the
things-
aforementioned beers and
things
axe
in the
throwing.
Google
And you do it a
document
lot for a
format
long period of
doesn't
time,
count
usually until
against
May
your
when it's
drive
finally
quota.
above 30 degrees. But don't get cocky. The weather is a vengeful
And
elder
Nick
god
says
out
he's
here,
got tens
and it
of
can turn
thousands of
cruel on a
files on
whim,
Google
which,
Drive,
as far as
and
I
none
can
of them
tell,
count
is
because
why you
they're
have
all in
football
Google
season,
format.
because you got to appease them all the way
But
up to
if
the
you
Super
uploaded
Bowl,
a
or the old
Microsoft
ones will
file,
rise
then
again.
it
It's a
would take
complicated
space
system,
and
but it works as
count
far as I can
against your
tell.
quota.
But in that time, you still got to eat.
For
And
those
what's
of you
eating, you like to
interested in
pretend you are anywhere but
security,
where you are, because as
there
I said,
is
it's
a
fucking cold and
update
haunted
to
out.
Mac
So
OS
you made
and
eating
Safari
spots themed to places you would
recently.
rather be, like the Olive Garden, the
make sure you
Longhorn
do that.
Steakhouse, the Outback,
Last
and
0.1
up until
updates, so we're
2004,
15.1.1.
Cheese.
They also updated 14 and 13.
The year was 1975. Captain and
Typically,
Tennille,
Apple
Earth,
does
Wind,
the
and Fire,
current
flared
system
leg,
version and
bell
two older
sleeve
ones.
jumpsuits, clean-cut All-American activewear, and
Unless
Gerald
it's
Ford was
especially
president because
egregious.
reasons.
And then they might go back farther.
America
Yeah, they're
looked
still
like it
doing,
smelled like
Ventura.
Pall Malls and beer. Everything was carpeted as All in the Family
Doesn't the new
echoed through the
system
mid-century
completely
modern living
supplant
room
the
while the
prior
children
system?
frolicked betwixt
Yes.
the boomerang sofas and water drop chairs. 'Twas a musty, magical
some people
time to
aren't
be
running the new
human,
system.
and yet the weather
Right,
raged
right.
on and new comforts were craved, and you
through
Midwestern-flavored
that.
humans discovered the wonder that is
Sometimes it's a
Tex-Mex.
catch-22, and it can be a
Tex-Mex is
financial
complicated.
shock. The new
And
operating
it goes
system
back
is
a
free,
ways to the chili con
but
carne of the
then
chili
you have
queens
to
of San
upgrade
Antonio. Even
half your
farther back to the
programs.
Habsburg Spanish claim in New
third-party
Spain.
programs. You always
Even
have to check
farther,
your
farther
third-party
back to the Native
programs
Americans.
to
But
make
what
sure
is
they're
it?
compatible with the new OS.
Texas and Mexico, wars and
Things like
colonization.
Microsoft Office
Humans
and
figuring, hey,
Quicken.
that's a pretty sweet yard. Mind if I hang out? JK, it's mine now, chump.
And if they're not compatible, they normally can be upgraded.
Yeah, often for
And
a
after
fee.
all that, as far as I can tell, in the
We had a
1890s,
customer
this
this
German
week
guy named Willie
put a new
Gephardt
OS
comes
on
to
her
Texas,
computer,
gets all horny for cumin,
and,
after
her
hanging
old
out with the
version of Final
Tejanos,
Cut didn't
which
work,
are
and she
humans
didn't
of
know she could
Mexican
upgrade.
descent living in Texas,
thought she had
and
to
created his
downgrade
own
the
blend of
computer or buy a
ancho,
new
chili,
computer.
black pepper, oregano, and cumin.
Final
Called
Cut's
it
been one of those
Gephardt Eagle
Apple
chili
products.
powder,
You
sold
know,
the
you paid
first canned
$300
chili
for
and
it
commercial
15
chili
years
powder,
ago, and
while
it's been free
the
updates for
Antonio
15
chili
years.
stand made its way to the
Mhm.
Chicago World Fair,
$300,
scaring the streets. Meanwhile,
$1,000.
Otis Farnsworth
It was
of
$2,500
Chicago
before that,
made
yeah.
his way to San Antonio,
Well,
where
one
this
of the ways they
human
did
thing
that
was
is they
fucking
split
raging.
out
Started
the
the
studio.
trend of
So
serving
Final
an
Cut
entree alongside rice and
video
beans,
editing
calling
app
it
is
the
a
regular,
separate app.
inventing the
Then there's Logic
flagship
for
of the
audio
mutant
editing
hybrid
and,
Q-mania of Tex-Mex
Motion
called
for motion
the
graphics. So there's 3 or 4
combo
different
platter.
apps, but it's still significantly less than it
Enchiladas,
used to be.
fajitas,
And you only
chili,
need to buy
and this
the one
wild
app you
idea
want.
from a guy named Ignacio
And
Anaya
they did it as
Garcia
purchase-
when a bunch of
a
military
one-time
wives from
purchase
Texas
instead of a
wanted cocktails in
subscription.
Mexico at the
Right.
El Moderno, aka
It
the
is a
Victory
subscription
Club,
on the
and he came up
iPad
with a fast
for $5
appetizer
a
out of
month,
fried
which isn't too
tortillas,
bad.
cheese, and
But on the
jalapenos, which
computer,
was a
it's
hit
been
because,
free,
creating
since they released it.
the special forever
just-
that would
no,
carry
her
his
other
nickname,
problem was her
the Nacho.
Computer didn't go
It's
to
true.
the latest OS.
Gets even
so
crazier.
she had to download an older version of Final Cut
There's
for the
Moroccan
previous
influences
OS.
too,
So she
and the
had two
aforementioned Native
complications.
Americans, and then white people drowned it in sour
But she
cream because
didn't-
it was still too
I haven't.
spicy.
Didn't hear her say that. She could
Flash
upgrade
fry
for free.
forward to 1975. Tex-Mex
I
has
have a
made its way to
question
the
related to
Midwest,
that.
where it's cold,
I
probably
was,
because of
I
Chicago.
take
You're
the
welcome.
Rick's
And
up
Minnesota
security
Marno
update
McDermott,
advice
having sold his
seriously,
first
so I
Mexican-inspired food line,
at
Zapata,
which
later
point I
renamed
realized that
Ortega.
my
The
MacBook
restaurants
is
then become in
actually back on
Santiago, and then
Mac
Taco
OS
Bell
13,
conquered them
so
all into
that's
oblivion.
not what I need to worry about.
And he
But
sold it to the
13.7
German
came
made beverage company called
fix that
Blaze,
last
which
one.
owned the distribution rights to A1 Steak
now.
Sauce, Grey Poupon, KFC, and something
So
called
if you go to
Hereford's
your
30
system-
Proof
if-
Cows,
so
which was
it gets
a
a little
milk
tricky.
booze in a variety
In the
of
software
flavors.
update,
Steak
system
sauce,
preference,
mustard,
it will
almost
show
chicken,
you
and
the
a German
upgrade
milk
to
hooch.
Sequoia.
It doesn't get more Midwestern
OS
than
15
this.
if your computer's capable. or
And
14
he,
if
Marno
it's capable.
McDermott, decides to go in on a
But below
Tex-Mex
that, there
inspired
might be an
escapist
other
eatery for
update.
freezing butter
So if you
junkies
don't
with the
wanna
legendary
upgrade to the
Green
new
Bay
OS,
Packer
you
and
can
punter
update
Max
to
McGee.
the
Sidebar,
previous,
did you know that Max
system.
McGee scored the first
So there'd be
touchdown
enough
in
for your
Super Bowl
13, there'd be a
history
13-7,
while he was hungover
one or
and
two.
delirious after spending the night
I'm on-
partying with flight
I'm
attendants
on
in LA?
one, so it looks like
some
I need to
heroes
go
are
to
not made, they're
two.
drunk. And
Okay. My next
in
question
August
is,
of 1976
how
in
do I
Richfield,
figure
Minnesota,
out,
the first ever Cheat Cheese
I opened
open
up
to the
Safari,
public.
'cause
Now,
I'm in,
what is a
looks
Cheat
like I
Cheese?
closed it again too.
First off,
I'm
it's
in
named
Chrome
after
for this
Marno
meeting.
McDermott's wife, Chi-Chi,
And,
and not
so
the
I
Spanish
opened
slang
Safari
for pubes.
and I went
Although,
up under
it
the
also kind of is.
menu bar under Safari.
Not that that matters in the
About
Midwest. They
Safari,
got come and goes, spelled like you assume it would
and
not
it
be.
tells
Chi-Chi's.
me what version I'm on, but I go
Boobs.
back to the
Chi-Chi's on the face looks like a
Safari
terracotta
menu
cast of the
looking for
Alamo, so
something
we're
that
already
says
clutching some cultural pearls here.
um,
And on the inside, you're magically whisked away to a
looking
San
for
Antonio
updates, and I
themed
may
supper
need to
club
go
and an
into
airport.
Safari
The menu
setting
tantalizing
just
you
to
with
see
exotic
that.
flavors
You don't
like,
update
quote,
it in
char
Safari, you update it
broiled,
in system
and, quote,
preferences.
lightly touched by
software
Tex-Mex
update
barbecue
handles
sauce.
all of,
It's the LaCroix of San
Apple's
Antonian
OS
German
type
Minnesotan
software,
cuisine.
And Safari is considered part of the
The
operating.
flavors were inspired by Sonora, a state in the northwestern region of Mexico,
Okay,
featuring a
right.
cuisine known for
Safari
having,
updates will
quote,
show up
subtle,
in
less
system
spicy seasoning, because it's Minnesota, and we don't want to scare anybody.
yes, and now I need to
But if
figure
you're not
out
in
which
De
heading
Umar
they're
for
under.
chili pie, chicken and cheese, or seafood enchiladas,
and then
you can hit up the
software update.
Cantina for the Margarita Fiesta or the
Okay.
Chi-Chi, which is vodka,
No,
coconut,
my
and
new
pineapple.
computer
And
says
if you're starting to
Sonoma
feel like
version
maybe this place is
14.5.
themed like
Is
a
that the
birthday
most
party
current
for a clown
version?
at a rodeo, and you want to live a little more
14.7.1
moss, you can
was
order
the
the
last of the
Tex-Mex
14s,
items,
and then there's a
which were
15 after
designated
that.
thus because they were, quote,
So
spicier,
I-
which is double strings, because
15.2
it's all
just came
supposed
out.
to be Tex-Mex.
So
But
I
is
should
it?
go to settings
No,
and
whatever.
upgrade.
Settle in for a night of everything
Yes.
covered in hot cheese. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that
Most,
there's more to
most
life.
third-party apps that are compatible
After
with
$2
OS
million
14 should
in
be
their
compatible
opening
with
year,
OS
the
15.
chain kind of couldn't find its
And do
fiesta
it
on
after
the
the
East
meeting's
Coast,
over.
West Coast, the
Sure.
Yeah,
South.
'cause it'll take
Just kind of stayed in the
Oh, yeah.
Midwest.
There were
Why?
huge
'Cause
problems
it's fucking
upgrading
cold,
from 10.15
and you'll take
to
it.
11. There were major changes in the OS.
Living
that
its
broke a lot of
American
old-
dream until 2003 when it filed for
Broke a lot of old
bankruptcy
software.
before the chain was
So
hit with
that
the
was a
largest
big,
hepatitis
everywhere.
outbreak in American
And
history.
an upgrade is not going to make a difference.
Woo
with existing
hepatitis,
apps.
guys.
Yes, it could.
666
those apps
victims and
incompatible
4
and
actual
you may need
deaths
to update those
settled in
apps as well.
2004 and
And that
sold
will
and
alert me,
consumed
or
by
I'll
its
just
own
be
brethren,
frustrated
the
they don't
Outback
work, or-
Steakhouse.
You'll be frustrated
And
they don't work
20
and then
years
have to go
later,
and look for the
they're
update.
stirring in the distance.
Okay.
A strange feeling on
Apple's
the breeze.
own apps
The hard
have all
smell
been
of
updated.
charbroiled meats and
It's the
mild
third-party
salsa
apps
shaking
you
the
have to worry
vibe.
about.
December 4th,
So you have to go to
2024
their
was announced that
website, or
after
sometimes
20
just
years,
Google. So
Chi-Chi's will
Microsoft,
be resurrected from the
Microsoft
deep,
Word,
pulled forth
Sonoma,
back into
and it will tell you
existence
what
from the
version it
ether for
needs.
all to witness. But
And
I
there's
say to
probably security
ye,
fixes in
listen
there.
to the birds, humans. You don't
Wasn't
need
there a website
to.
that used to
Out of
list,
all the concepts
yeah,
you've had,
apps?
all the
Roaring
progress
apps.
you've made,
Yeah,
do
I
you
think
want
that
to
was
get
it,
back
yeah.
to
I don't know
Chi-Chi's?
if it's been updated.
Is it that
Not sure
bleak
recently.
that you
Yeah, it still
crave
says
Diet
Sequoia.
Tex-Mex?
Yeah. So
It's
back-
not even
back when the
cultural
OSs had,
appropriation because that steals
cat
something
names,
from
large,
something.
roaring,
It's neither
cats,
Tex
family
nor
pet
Mex.
Paris.
It's Midwestern spiced cheese. Do you need
roaringapps.com
more con carne? Do you need more con
would,
queso?
let you,
Haven't ye had enough? Are ye
look for
that
compatibility
starved
on
for
third-party
Mexican
software.
pizza and seafood nachos? Have you learned nothing from the diarrhea
kept it up to
that
date
you
now
would
that
dare
they're not
open the book and summon Chi-Chi's back into being? A franchise co-owned by a footballer who got lucky because he was hungover, not to mention it was co-brought to Minnesota by a Green Bay Packer.
Yeah, everybody is
cursed
best. Don't bother
language.
raising your hand. Just jump in and
Nature selected Chi-Chi's for extinction. And now your human corporate restaurant chain were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. You have access to actual, real, authentic Mexican cuisine everywhere, but oh no, you gotta have the fucking fried ice cream. But hear me out, you can make it at home. All you gotta do is roll some briars and cinnamon and cornflakes, freeze it for an hour, and then fry it. There, you're the Chi-Chis. Pour some
Also,
queso on your head.
waking up
Dip
right
yourself in
about-
sour cream. Roll yourself in the beigest of seasonings as your German Minnesotan ancestors of yore
But do we
did
know what
before
happened
you,
with,
but dare not raise the
Mastermind that
dead.
we're getting
Repent!
our names as
Repent! I offer my body
the-
as tribute The agreement be
changed
damned.
something at their
Eat
back
me,
end, and
roast me, shred me into
the
tinga
session
con
that I had
crema.
open didn't work anymore.
Save yourselves.
So I
The
had to create a
Chi-Chis
new
will be
private
upon
session.
ye. The Chi-Haritas will rise again, and we will drown in glory and the terrifying wonder of salsification.
Command R, or click the little circle, half circle icon.
I love you. Good night.
Address list will refresh the page.
Nailed it.
Steve.
My address.
Yeah, what was that, Bob?
I get in my address list. It's going to have it. I don't understand.
To the right. So, well, are you in Safari or Chrome?
Safari.
Safari. To the right end of the address bar is a little half circle that will reload the page. Or you can hit Command R, which also reloads the page.
And on the page that we're all using, in the upper left, the red disk, it says, you put the cursor over there, it says user list toggle, but it does not give a user list.
Yeah, all the users are guessed.
Oh.
that semicircle with the arrow on it, the refresh. I click that and
that reloads the page, and then you can click on the CIDER Lounge link.
Send the form again. Send.
What form are you on?
I don't know.
You said you were on the CIDER homepage.
I don't know. Can you see that?
You're not on the CIDER homepage. That's what you have to refresh to get the new link. Go back to the CIDER homepage.
Well, I got the link from your email.
The one that I sent today, not the one I sent a couple of days ago.
Okay. Maybe that's it.
The one that says, sorry, there's a new link.
That explains why I had trouble earlier. I didn't refresh the CIDER homepage.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you a question also, Stephen.
Sure.
I was hoping to do it before I forgot what the heck the question was. Oh yeah. If next week we do the board meeting on Google Meets, will we need a new link from like the CIDER homepage to get to that or what?
Yes, and I'll email it out too.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Well,
then we can figure out how a whole new thing works.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
On the laptop.
Or to keep it simple, I could go pay a lawyer to get my name changed to guest, I suppose, but
we've always been using Mastermind in a kind of a sideways system. It's designed for creating meeting sessions, and every meeting session is a new link, so that you have people pay you for the meeting, and they can't sneak into another meeting without paying again because the link is different. So I've been using a private link in order to keep the link the same, but something changed in that it made everybody a guest. So I got to figure out how to not do that, or maybe we'll try Google Meet for a while.
Well, I don't know if I've ever used Google Meet.
Probably not. It was one.
I
So Google's
used
got
it.
dozens of different meeting and messaging programs, and they either merge together or they shut down one and work to build another one. It's like every project inside of Google is championed by one programmer, and their boss says, "Oh, that's neat. Let's put it out." And then suddenly they have five different ways to do the same thing. They have like 5 different messaging apps, and they keep talking about cutting it down, and so they'll cut it down to one that no one was using, and then the ones that people were using are mad.
No, I think I prefer the Zoom.
Yeah, we got to pay $15 a month for that.
No,
I don't remember what Google Meet was like. I've only done it for one meeting, and it was this weird like writing group that would meet and then go off and write for an hour and then come back. So it wasn't like a normal meeting. So, and I don't remember details. Like, I mean, what for me, I like Zoom. Zoom's better because I can expand things, which I can't do on this. And I like having it on a separate app because then I don't lose it. Because sometimes when I go to Safari, I lose the page with the with this.
What do you mean by expand things, Kim?
Because I'm on a phone, expand to read it. I can expand on Zoom to read something. Use my two fingers and expand the screen.
Oh, that's called zooming.
No.
So actually zooming on Zoom.
Okay, well, I like Zoom because I can zoom on Zoom. And I can turn it sideways and it's bigger. When I turn it sideways on this, it's smaller.
Well, I guess Zoom is free for 40 minutes.
Right.
And after that, you've got to have a
Yeah.
10-minute break, and then you can start a new meeting for another 40
Yeah,
minutes.
that's the issue, is
We
having
used
to take
to-
that
It's a
break
problem.
now.
We used to be able to do the 40 minutes and then make another 40 minutes instantly. But they caught on to that and now prevent that from happening.
Yeah, but
All
there's
right,
a workaround that.
What about FaceTime?
You have one person do the 40 minutes and then a separate person start the next meeting to follow on.
Yep. And then suddenly you got a dozen people that you have to send out links every 40 minutes to.
Can you do FaceTime with multiple people?
Yes, but only on a Mac. Or what? Not a Mac, on an Apple device. Which
All of us have.
yeah.
Mostly.
So that's a possibility, and that's free, and it's encrypted. The only other thing would be like WhatsApp.
That's why I was going to use Google Meet, because it's free with our Google nonprofit account.
Mm-hmm.
They use Microsoft Teams for court, but that would be ironic to use Microsoft, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I tried to look at the Google Meet, and it was very complex, and they never updated their instructions, since the last time they've updated things, and I just couldn't even get it to work.
As an end user, you just have to click the link and it should open into the meeting automatically.
Oh, I think it's fine if you're not the creator, but if you're the creator, you're really going to scratch your head for a while.
Start an instant meeting, and I have an instant meeting available. I can paste a link that anyone can get into it. Seems really easy to me. Maybe we'll try that for next week.
You've used it before, so.
I just used it right now, and I made a new meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is,
do you pay $6 a month?
No, we have a free nonprofit account.
Oh, that's how. Okay.
The other
I was
thing I
trying
was
to do it, and it wouldn't let me because I wasn't paying my $6 a month.
And Jesse Group, we pay for Google Workspace, so I can use that account if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I was thinking is that next week, if we want, we could start the board meeting in Mastermind, and then while that's running, you could also start a Google Meets meeting, and we could go to that and see if it worked and come back to Mastermind if we were having problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of clumsy and more than necessary, I'm sure, but
I just
it's
posted
an option.
I just posted the link to the Google Meet. If you have another device you want to try it on. I don't know about doing it on two devices at the same time.
Yeah, they might be fighting for the same resources, being your camera and your mic.
Well, like an iPad, you mean, or something?
Yeah.
Did you post it on the CIDER homepage or what?
No, in the public chat.
Oh,
I see.
okay.
Yeah, I have that problem when I'm on one thing on the phone and then I need to do another thing on the phone. It doesn't let me use both audios.
Yep.
But then when I come back, the audio goes away and I have to leave and come back. So I try not to call people or answer the phone when I'm on a meeting. But once in a while, a delivery gets screwed up and comes during a meeting.
Okay, can anybody hear me? Oh,
I
no,
hear you.
okay. You hear me because I'm on the Google Meet now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
And you folks are still on the mastermind, right?
Yep.
So here I am on, well, you know what? Let me just make sure here. Let me go to the mastermind.
Well, Google Meet has its own app for iOS.
Do you have to be signed into Google?
No.
In order to use the Google Meet?
Nope.
No?
Correct.
How come it's asking me?
It's asking if you want to sign in, not that you have to sign in.
Right, maybe I need to scroll down a little farther.
Oh no. See, I clicked on the link and now I lost the meeting because I can't find my window.
Yeah, you have to use a different device if you're trying to log into 2 meetings at once.
No,
Okay,
I
now
wasn't
I'm on.
opening any website. I wasn't opening that. I was. Oh no. I've lost.
I don't see
Now
anyone
I'm
joining yet.
okay. I'm here at the Mastermind Lounge, and in a moment I'm going to mute my mic on Mastermind Lounge and go to the Google Meet tab, and something about the quick fly fox jumped over the dog turd or something.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's demanding that I sign in first, so it wants me to do that. So I'll try that.
Oh, there's more backgrounds available on Google Meet. There we go. There's one.
Well,
Yeah, we're not hearing you, Charlie. Maybe because your microphone is still on Mastermind. I don't know if anyone's hearing me in Google either because my microphone is on Mastermind. Test, test, test. Test, test. Yep. Oh, that's, I gotta unmute.
Okay, I'm back in Mastermind now. While I was trying to use, and I did need to click on join the meeting, whatever, in Google Meet. But once I activated Google Meets on the same device, when I go back to Mastermind, above my microphone icon, there's some kind of little Google icon. No.
Yeah,
and I'm stuff. So I'm going to sign out of the Google Meet thing now.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut it down.
Google's in Chinese.
It's just too confusing when you're in 2 meetings at once. Oh, that's interesting. I shut down the meeting, I thought, but Carol is still in it.
In which one?
The Google Meet.
I have to download it.
-U J B D -DGX. Well, I'm sure if everyone leaves, it will go away.
Get out of it. Where is it?
Well, We'll just have to try it out.
Yep.
If all else fails, you go back to Mastermind Lounge.
So that was
Wherever.
leave call. That's what I did. I left the call. I didn't stop the call.
And I joined it. So I'm finally in, and it looks like my camera's working and my mic is working over there.
I'm using the wrong password.
But since you're getting out, I guess I will get out now too. Since I satisfied my curiosity, it looks like it can probably work.
I don't see a way to quit the meeting other than everyone leaves it. Well, it's something we can play with.
To sign in as a guest, you need a code from the organizer.
All right, so are we going to move on to, what is it? Gifts? Gift ideas?
Yeah, if anyone has any gift websites.
Just to find interesting things, I'm looking at Temu.com. I know that it's Chinese junk, but I can look for it there and then see if I can find the same item on a legitimate site.
Sometimes you can have good luck with Temu and find something pretty legitimate, but it's hit or miss.
So, I have a couple neighbors who order off Temu constantly.
Well, so you order from them and you get crap, pretty much. I mean, even though it looks good and the price looks good.
Well, Kim, what did your neighbors say?
I don't know. They're like addicted to ordering on Temu. I think
Do they like it, or are they getting good stuff, or what?
I think it's more clothes that they order.
I've had some experience with them, and I had pretty good luck. And then my one friend buys a lot of clothes from there.
Oh.
I just think it's eliminating the middleman, right? The distributor.
Some of it is, yeah, it's coming right from
China.
The manufacturer. All the manufacturers are mostly in China. Although that's been changing. There's a lot of them now in Vietnam and Brazil.
Yeah.
Well, if we get this huge tariff thing, then...
Yeah, a lot of people are looking to buy electronics now before Trump possibly raises tariffs.
In which case, all this stuff won't be imported like it is because it will be too expensive to spend the money.
Well, and the silly thing is it will take years before it makes a difference and the manufacturing actually comes back to the U.S. to make the same products.
Right. Well,
so it's not a short-term fix at all of much of anything.
Yeah, and it hurts U.S. consumers by raising prices.
And Apple found that an iPhone could be manufactured much more quickly and more effectively by Chinese workers around the clock. Much better job than having them manufactured in America.
Well, part of that is the sub-assemblies that come together to make all the pieces that go into an iPhone. Over the last 30 years, more and more manufacturing has been pushed overseas because consumers have been demanding lower prices. And so
the labor costs are so cheap in China. That's
right.
A lot
so now it's coming back to hit us that now we want stuff made in America. But even if we don't have any the bigger factories are all gone. So it takes years to make factories, and it takes skilled people that we don't have anymore. One of the things I read is the big Shenzhen plant in Guangdong has 1 million people working in the factory. It's the
God.
Yeah, and so there is
It's like a city.
There's nowhere in the U.S. you could find 1 million people to work in one factory. They said like 20,000 people show up to work. 20,000 new people show up to work every day, and about 20,000 people quit every day. So it all balances out to about a million workers. And everything is there on the campus, room, board, restaurants, food. So it's real popular among younger kids. that they'll work there for a few years and build up a ton of money and then leave.
How many square feet would such buildings have to be to accommodate 1 million workers?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
Obviously, the size of a city.
Yeah.
Well, the Pentagon is the single largest building in the United States, and it sounds like it would be outstripped in size by this factory.
So there's 17 million people living in Shenzhen itself. Manufacturing factory size. They probably don't want to tell you. So the looks like the main building has 420,000 workers, and ancillary buildings have more as well. And this is in French, trying to translate into English.
And of course, it'll all be in meters and hectares.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. It just conceptually sounded fascinating.
So it's like what is it in North Carolina, Shirley, the Raleigh technology. Yeah. So in that general area, you've got all these different manufacturing companies that create pieces that come together to make big things at the end. And so there's so many of that in Shenzhen. It's built up over the last 30 years where everything is there because everything was there. Catch-22.
And that's one of the tricks about tariffs is the percentage of the product that relates to assembly versus creation of components. And that if you have a high enough percentage in America, you can escape certain tariffs.
Yep.
That's what they were doing with the automobiles.
And so what Foxconn has started doing is they built a plant in Brazil because Brazil has massive import tariffs. They did the same thing in Vietnam, and now they're building another one in, I believe it's India, because they all have huge tariffs on imported electronics.
Well, if you want stuff, you pay for it. That's all there is to it.
So their revenue last year was 6.6 trillion new Taiwanese dollars. 213 billion US dollars.
Well, that's about Elon Musk's income and about his net worth.
Yep.
200 some billion.
So getting back on topic, I had found a website called This Is Why I'm Broke. Let me make that window bigger. And they have a section on geek gifts. And it's just crazy things that geeks might like. Yeah, here's a box that has the internet in it. And you push the button and it lights up. And it's crazy stuff that's really cool. Oh, there's for video game stuff.
There's box lunch too.
Yeah.
Box lunch is in the mall.
So what is the site that you're showing?
This Is Why I'm Broke.
This is why I'm broke. Okay.
And they have a section on gifts. So they have gifts for different people, and I'm in the geek gifts. Oh, periodic table of the elements. Does this have each of the elements in it?
There is such a product.
Yeah, I think this might be it.
Oh, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
With the actual stuff in it. Huh?
Yep, except for the radioactive ones.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Hey, that's like those chemistry sets we used to get as kids, remember?
Yeah. Yes,
I
love my chemistry set.
Things and do all sorts of stuff with them.
Oh, you get your own Tesla coil?
Little mini Tesla coil?
A moving Rorschach mask. So you can have your mask move.
Wasn't that from one of the
Watchmen.
The Watchmen movie?
You can have your own Lego minifig with your face on it.
Oh, I see. Now you can have your own action figure and have your own face.
Yep.
You can do that. In fact, when we went to Shore Leave this summer, there was a van there where you could go and make your own action figure and they'd 3D scan you and everything. It was like, I don't know how much it was, but probably not that bad. That
Have you
really
seen the
good stuff.
videos for the puking ball?
No.
Show us a video. There it is. So you ooze out the stuff and then it will suck it back in. Oop.
Oh, I can see kids would love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Multiple colors. How much is it? Only $15.
Jeez.
5-color pack for 30 or 10 colors for 45. Half price for Christmas.
This is what everybody wants.
Yep.
They have an off-color version?
Probably. I think the whole thing is off color.
Mhm.
Let's see. Gifts for computer nerds. Yeah, Uncommon Goods I keep seeing a bunch of crazy things from. So it's got different genres. Weird little things.
Well, I guess it means that no matter how stupid something is, somebody out there will buy it.
Yep.
And so if you invent it, somebody out there will think it's the greatest thing ever.
There's an episode of MASH with a hula hoop and a frisbee.
Well, that's
and
how
they tried to get Charles to invest in. Charles thought that's dumb.
Yep, and they both went on to make a fortune.
Well, there's like SpongeBob SquarePants. What is that whole show about? A sponge. Some guy, what I think I read that he thought it was just a stupid idea, and here it is all these years later. Musical, everything else.
Just saw the Iron Man plasma pusher.
Yeah.
It's basically a flamethrower.
Yep.
It shoots out of your hand.
Lightsaber chopsticks.
Sounds like Matthew's kind of gifts.
Yep. Oh, massive screwdriver kit with all the weird screws that you need.
Is it possible to push a plasma? I mean, that's just a gas.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Electromagnetically.
It's a blowtorch.
Oh.
It's not really plasma. It's just a blowtorch.
It's just a blowtorch.
Yeah, blowtorches are fun.
I'd get a lease violation.
Yeah.
So it appears that these links from the Broke site there, it all goes to different places. Some of them go to Etsy, some go to Amazon.
They're collecting weird stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
From
still
all over the
interesting
internet. And
place to look.
They're probably affiliates or something.
Right.
You can buy your own. Yeah, you buy your own plasma cutter. So we've got a laser cutter at the office. Well, no, laser engraver. It doesn't cut very deep, but you crank up the power,
Hopefully not.
and it will cut. Yeah, 65 amp one.
It'll hurt people.
Well, it's common in like auto mechanic shops where they need to cut steel and stuff.
Yeah, you're not supposed to use it to hurt people. That would be
I
illegal.
just got kicked out.
What?
Kids can play doctor with laser surgery.
Yep.
Well, they use
Classic
them for-
lava light.
I guess the big thing this year is the jellyfish lamps that are like lava lights, but they use jellyfish instead.
I read a thing that said the younger generation wants to go back and start using the typewriter again. because they feel a connection to what they're typing when their fingers hit the keys.
I'd make a lot less mistakes. Autocorrect kills me.
Well, that's it. They also have to pay attention, right? So they don't have to correct it and everything. So they don't like all the busyness of how fast the phone or the computer is or whatever. So they want to go back to basics now, apparently.
So my husband's 12-year-old. What was I just hearing about the return of the tactile keyboard like BlackBerry used compared to iPhone?
I don't know, but if people, we're like, well, if you want to go back to it, then hey, you might still have one. Who knows?
I've got a really clickety keyboard, super clickety keyboards. My keyboard at work is so loud. When I'm on the phone, people complain that I'm not paying attention to them. They say, well, "No, ma'am, I'm keeping notes. I just have a loud keyboard."
Wow.
That also lights up cool colors, which is why I got it. But I have read that car manufacturers are stopping with the touch screens and going back to physical buttons.
What is the rationale?
Well, it's too easy to accidentally do something.
Or
I would think
it's too hard to push exactly the right button because they're still not designed for.
You don't have
being
the
used in a car.
haptics on it.
Yeah.
Without the haptic touch, people don't know what they're hitting, and they can hit the wrong thing.
Need the feedback.
Yeah, because like on Duolingo, they have a music app part now, but it's weird because you can't feel the piano keys, so you're typing on the screen.
Yeah, I really didn't like the music one for that reason. It wasn't like really like could be a slight delay, and it was just strange.
Because you have to look at it to see what you're hitting. You can't, play by feel.
Well, the executives of BlackBerry just did not take Apple seriously. They just thought that people needed that tactile response, and that a flat screen, touch screen, nobody'd be interested. But of course, that overlooks the great flexibility that it has. Suppose somebody wants to communicate in the Ukrainian language. You're going to make a Ukrainian keyboard. It's cheaper to do the software.
Yeah.
So there are phones available with physical keyboards. Again.
Sure.
Yep. There was, if I can find it, there was a keyboard where every key is an LCD screen. And so you can, to your example, Douglas, you can change the language, and all of your keys change. So it's, like with the current Mac keyboard, you can change to another language, but your keyboard letter tops don't change.
Yeah.
So that there is a keyboard that does that.
I didn't think about that because on the phone it just changes the keyboard, but if you have a physical keyboard, it can't change the physical keyboard.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, the Chinese keyboard would be amazing in that regard.
Mine's always almost always in German because I learned German in Duolingo, so it always changes it to German. But then it changed it back to Spanish the other day. I'm like, okay. But then
So here's one.
do you think it listens to you? If it hears you speaking Spanish, it changes your keyboard to Spanish?
Oh, by voice command.
Fun.
And is it German Fraktur on your keyboard?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing, dictating when your keyboard's accidentally in another language.
Yeah.
There was also a laser projection keyboard.
That's good.
That would there it is. It would project a keyboard on your whatever surface you're on. So then that could change languages easily, but again, it didn't have that tactile feedback to let you know you were typing. So even a phone has haptics, so as you type, it will haptic back to you to feel like you're typing. Even though it totally fakes out your brain because the keyboard is not physically moving, but you swear it does. That's for $40. That's pretty good.
Well, you get the sound of a click on an iPhone, but I think it's just a distraction.
Well, it lets you know you clicked it. You can
Yeah.
turn that off if you want.
Well, I do crossword puzzles on my iPhone, and sometimes I don't insert a letter that I thought I had.
There's a gaming keyboard or keypad for you. Each finger does its own thing. So you can put chords together to do macros in games.
Hmm.
Anybody else have any links for interesting stuff?
Steve, if I may interrupt briefly. While you were going through those various subjects, I only had one a screen of yours steady displaying on my screen. Should they have been changing all the time?
A few of them, yes.
Okay, just so you know.
Wait a minute, which tab am I sharing?
It kicked me out, and when you come back, it doesn't let you see the shared screen anymore.
So if I stop sharing that screen, and then go back here and start sharing the new Chrome tab. I wish it was a little more distinctive between the button that says stop sharing and share this tab instead. So when I don't realize what happened, Charlie, is I didn't realize it spawned a new tab. So there were times when it didn't show the new thing.
Okay.
So here, so that's in the same tab. PC Magazine did an article on geeks, gifts for your favorite geek. Charging cables are great. Everyone always needs another charging cable. Flash drives, you can always use another flash drive. Ferrofluid desk toy. That looks pretty cool. So it's a magnetic fluid that you can do things with. It's like making your own oobleck.
I've been watching all this stuff and thinking, if we could just put a 1% surcharge on all the crap people buy on the internet, we'd probably have enough money to get everybody fed and housed, and it's just amazing the shit people will.
I read a meme today. I don't know if, let me see if I can find if it was true or not. The Americans spent like $20 billion on cancer treatments. And one single healthcare company, probably the one where the guy just shot the CEO, had like $50 billion in profit. And that one company could have paid for everyone's cancer treatments and still had $30 billion in profit.
His personal salary was $10.5 million annually.
Yeah.
What company?
United Healthcare.
That was my company for a while.
It's the biggest.
Yeah.
Is that the one that gives you money for Ubers and things?
And this Luigi Mangione was a computer major in college.
So who shot the CEO? A consumer or an employee?
An aggrieved claimant, it appears.
But he came from money.
He just didn't like the way the company operated on principle.
So he thought, well, if I kill him,
yeah,
that'll change things.
That'll
that won't
help,
change
yeah.
anything.
What did they do that other companies don't do?
They were on a larger scale. And apparently they did have quite the reputation for denying claims.
Apparently, the guy had a bunch of screws in his spine, so he was in pain a lot of the time.
Yes.
And so I guess he was having various procedures denied him.
Yeah, but I read that his family was wealthy.
Yeah, they were.
So
Yeah,
then
he was
they could
well-to-do. He
afford
was
it.
valedictorian of his boys' class there.
Yeah, I think the high school tuition was like 40 to 80,000 a year.
Wow.
But so he was trying to do good by bringing the plight of healthcare.
I don't think we should ascribe good or evil to this guy.
Yeah.
Find out a little bit more about him first.
Yeah.
He seems a little unhinged, which
Well,
could be.
I mean, the whole thing of like having the manifesto and all that was a little.
Yeah.
Little
all the other things he had just didn't.
Well, his manifesto was undone. It was only 3 pages.
Yeah.
No.
Well, anybody have anything else? We're just past 10 o'clock.
So how will I be in touch for Saturday afternoon?
My phone number's on the webpage there.
All you have to do is send me a link that says you're coming.
Okay.
No, Shirley, no. You're just...
No, we're talking about dinner. He's talking about Q&A.
Shamrock Jacks?
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about the 3 o'clock session on Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind.
My name is on the CIDER page with my phone number.
Oh, okay. And that's on the internet.
Just
CIDER
call
page?
me and give me your email address, and and I'll put you on the list and invite you.
Excellent. How do you spell your last name?
Hoey.
EY. Okay. Thank you.
So are you feeling better, Bob?
Yeah, I am.
Do you think
But
you'll be coming to the dinner?
I think probably yes.
Okay. Very good. Well, then I hope to see you next week, you and Carol.
Yep. Yeah, we only ate there once at Shamrock Jacks, and I'm looking forward to going back. They had a great Reuben, and Irish coffee was good.
Sounds good.
I haven't been there in 15 years.
No, we were there about a month ago.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're there, because we took your suggestion, Carol, about going. So we'll see how it pans out. It looks interesting. Like I said, they got a big, huge Christmas tree made out of Jameson bottles in front with green, all lit up with green lights.
Do you get to pick them?
Nope, it's just all in a tree.
I'm going to say goodnight, Dick.
All right, very good. Then we'll see you next Wednesday.
Good night, Dick.
Good night.
And everything. And salute.
Good night, Tommy.
All right. Good night, John Boy.
Yeah, John Boy. All right. See you then.